What's up? What's up? What's up? How you doing? How you doing? Everybody, when you come in, just shoot me a message. Comment. Let me know you're here. You can hear me. Everything is flowing. And also too, share this so that people that you can see this, so we could all participate. For those of us who haven't done this before, basically what we do is it's Real People, Real Lives Church, and we basically take topics. How you doing, Phil? We basically take topics that is on everybody's hearts and minds, things that people want to discuss, and we kind of just create an open forum. And so you can comment. People are also very welcome to call in. It's possible to request calls and stuff like that. So like if you hear something that you agree with, all right, cool. If you hear something you don't agree with, all right, cool. But so I'm gonna give it a little bit more time for everybody else to check in, and we'll kind of get going. But comment, you guys hearing me good? Y'all can see me clear, like it's all straight, like we good? Let me get some feedback. How y'all doing today? Let's see, we got Zathar and Fell in the crib. Got some people in. All right. All right, cool. All right, then, if that's the case, since we about ready to go, and forgive me if the phone shakes, I'm holding it with my hand. So, doing my best to charge this at the same time, too. All right. So, the question that we was asking ourselves is, who defines purity for you? Is it you? Is it the church? Is it God? And so when I was doing a little bit of research, there were certain things I was going over, certain things I was looking at, and I found some interesting things. But we're going to start from the very beginning. And in the very beginning, we have to first define what purity is, right? And so we have what I call the stereotypical church view. Doesn't mean that this is what every church view has. It's not what every church is, but this is your stereotypical church. What up, Jason? It's your stereotypical church view. And that is to have the appearance of godliness. Basically, if we don't see anything, we don't ask, we don't find out, you're good. So to explain that a little bit more, it's like, we go to church, we wear the suit, we play the part, we're on point. People can't really see what we do behind closed doors. And as long as people don't find out, hey, who cares? Because, in church, it's not like we get on the guy who's, secretly, engaging intimately with a lot of the young ladies. We never get on him. We get on the girl who's pregnant. Why? Because it's visible. So that's why I would say with the stereotypical church view, it's having the appearance of godliness, but as long as you're not seen, as long as we can't see what you're doing, you're good. That's the stereotypical church view of what purity is. We have the secular view, which is, it's my body, I do what I want with it. Okay? And that's basically, a lot of the themes that we hear in today's world, where a lot of people are like, yo, I get to do whatever I want. If I want to go from being a man to a woman, I can do that. If I want to go from being a woman to a man, however way I choose to modify or alter my body, that's how I want to go about it. The secular view is based on selfishness. It's me. It's all about me. It's all about how I feel. It's all about me giving into my urges, me going about things the way I choose to do it. Me, I. So let's recap now. We have the stereotypical church view, which is having the appearance of godliness, okay? It's not really godly, it's just having the appearance, all right? And we have the secular view, which is, it's my body, I do what I want with it. And just to always back up everything with scripture, because I never like to just talk, we go to 2 Timothy 3, 1 through 5, right? And it says, but understand this, that in the last days there will be times of difficulty. For people will be lovers of self, lovers of money, proud, arrogant, abusive, disobedient to their parents, ungrateful, unholy, heartless, unappeasable, slanderous, without self-control, brutal, not loving good. They'll be treacherous, they'll be reckless, swollen with conceit, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. All right, so that right there, lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God, is already pointing out to you the secular view. You prioritize pleasure, okay? You know what I mean? Sacrificing what you define as purity over your love for God, which is following God, keeping his commandments, etc., etc. And in the very next text, it's where it points out what I would call the stereotypical church view. Not every church. I'm not blaming church. I'm just saying your stereotypical one, which is 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 5, having the appearance of godliness, but denying its power. Avoid such people. All right, so we already got that set. So that's the first two, just to recap. Also, everybody who's joining, feel free to throw in any comments. Let me know that you can hear me well. If you hear anything I say or like, feel free to call in. Every now and then, I'll continue to remind you guys to share this, like it, so that other people can join. And if you hear something you like or dislike, just call in. So I'm about to keep going. Then we have God's view of what purity is. Okay? And God's view says, you are not your own, therefore honor God with your body. And where we get that from? 1 Corinthians 6, 19 through 20. And it says, what? Know ye not that your body is the temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which ye have of God, and ye are not your own? For ye are bought with a price. Therefore glorify God in your body and in your spirit, which are God's. So let's recap again each view of purity, okay? We have the secular view, which says, it's my body. I do whatever I want with it, whether I want to change my gender or alter my anatomy or, alter my privates or anything like that. I do what I want with my body. I choose to go about it however which way I want. Okay, that's the secular view. That's based on selfishness. Okay, we have the stereotypical church view. Not every church, just your stereotypical ones, which is that you have the appearance of godliness as long as you have the long skirt or you're wearing the suit or you're wearing what is clothes appropriate in church. We deem you as saved and holy. Okay, so it's having the appearance. Doesn't necessarily mean you are, but it's having the appearance. And then now we have God's view, which is saying you aren't your own, therefore honor God with your body. And the beauty about God's view is that it's selfless. Okay, the secular view and the stereotypical church view are based on selfishness. Look good for the crowd. I can do whatever I want with me. Whereas the godly view requires you to be selfless. You don't own this vessel. This vessel is God's. So you need to treat it with respect, carry it properly, and honor God with it. Not just in your character, not just in your clothes, but also in your spirit. So as we're going, I also wanted to define for us, okay, what is purity? Okay? Purity, when I looked at a couple of definitions, it is defined as clean, clear, or limpid. And I love that word because limpid says, which means free of anything that darkens, clear, it's clear and it's transparent. So limpid is something that is free from anything that darkens, it's clear and it's transparent. And I love that definition because if we're going to define purity, and one of the words to define purity is the word limpid, then now when we apply that to our own Christian walk in ourselves, right, then we have to say, I have to remove myself from anything that will darken. I have to make sure that I am clear and transparent. Transparent for what? What should not be darkened? What should be clear? What should be transparent? Well, it's very simple. Christ's character, right? And back it up with scripture. Luke 9:23, it says, and he said to all, if anyone will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily and follow me. Deny himself, be selfless and follow me. Follow me meaning act the same way that Christ did. Carry yourself in the same way. Show that same kindness, that same love. Reach out to people the same exact way. So it's clearly right there. So now you have to ask yourself, in the things that I am doing, right? In the things that I'm doing with my life, is there anything within me that darkens, that makes it not clear, or that is making it hard to be transparent, the Christ character within me? And once you realize that, and once you identify these things, you ask God to reveal it to you, then now it's up to you to remove it with the help of God. right? That's the goal for us as Christians. We strive for perfection, strive for purity. And once again, I'll say again, limpid, free of anything that darkens. It's something that is clear. It's something that is transparent. When I look at you, when I see your character, it should be clear that you serve God. It should be clear that you follow Christ. I shouldn't have to wonder. I shouldn't have to guess. And it's not based on what I'm wearing or you know, the type of clothes I'm at or where I'm at. It's your character, the fruit that you bear. When people come up to you and they talk to you, a person should leave a conversation with you knowing, yo, that person serves God. Like, they have to. You know what I mean? I was frustrated talking to them, but then the way they responded to me, you know, they were kind, they were nice. And don't get me wrong, we're all human. We all have our moments. You know what I'm saying? But the goal is always to strive for that perfection. The thing that sometimes we get so caught up in is that when we look at the term purity, we get caught up in the fact that we feel purity is only connected to sex. Like, it's only sex that I have to worry about. As long as I'm not having sex, I'm pure, I'm good. It's so far from that. It's so far from that. Purity is an entire scheming thing. Remember, it's anything that can darken. If you're listening to music that is constantly pushing your spirit or your heart in a direction, that's compromising your purity. If you're always speaking to people in a way that is always compromising the people around you, that is altering your purity. So it's not just sex. Yes, that's a big part because that's the word we make synonymous with it, but it's just so much more. It's the entirety of your walk. And before I even keep going, right? Once again, I'll tell everybody, you know what I mean? Feel free to comment. The way Real People's Real Life Church works, you know what I mean? I'm saying stuff, but it's not a lecture. You know, feel free to comment anything you want to say. Like, share this so that other people could join in. And if you feel so moved, call in. All right, call in and we could talk, you know what I mean? And I can hear your thoughts, whether you agree with me, whether you disagree with me. I'm going to keep going. And in about like a couple minutes, I'll open up to you guys. Just want to lay down some points real quick. Now, there was something that I saw that was actually really interesting. Because when we talk about purity, we're quoting the Bible. We're telling people, oh, yeah, God said. But what about the people who don't believe in the Bible? Like, why should they want to even engage in purity? Why should they even be interested in it? Julia, I see you. Give me a second. Why should they even be interested in purity? Like, what's the purpose? What do they gain from wanting to be pure, right? So I decided to do a little, you know, do a little research. And upon my research, I realized it's healthier when you limit the amount of sexual partners that you have. That greatly reduces the risk of contracting diseases, unplanned pregnancy, and other sex-related issues. So even as someone who doesn't believe in God, striving for purity saves you from issues you don't feel like dealing with. You don't have to worry about STDs. You don't have to worry about having unplanned pregnancies. It saves you from a lot of heartaches and headaches that you don't feel like dealing with that you could very well do without, right? So as we keep going, whether people want to acknowledge this or not, every time you connect with someone sexually, you're giving a piece of yourself to them. And you have to understand, when you value something, you don't just give it to everyone and anyone. And the same thing goes for your body. If you value yourself, you realize that I can't just give myself off to someone. That's why it's a lot easier to buy a Honda Civic than it is to buy a Rolls Royce. There's certain levels of value, right? And so you have to ask yourself, okay, how am I looking at myself? Do I make myself easily accessible to everyone else? If I say I value my body, right? Am I just giving off my body to every single person who tries to reach it? Well, then you don't value your body. And, you know, for some people, if you don't have a Christian worldview, that's your choice. I understand that. But for someone who has strong self-esteem and who values their body and looks at it as something sacred, something valuable, that's not something you're trying to give to everyone. You want to save that for someone who you feel deserves it, right? And, you know, there's always an interesting point that people always bring up. They say, we always talk about testing it out before you drive it. Right? Oh, what's it going to be like? I got to know what it's like before I drive it. Well, here's the interesting thing. A car depreciates the moment it comes off the lot. So you can buy a car, $15,000. The moment it's off the lot, it's already depreciating. So it's already lost in value. The more drivers that a car has, the more problems it's likely to have. So if you really want to keep going with that same tested out driving example, well, the moment you decide to treat yourself like a car, you're already depreciating yourself. And the more you have people testing you out, you're depreciating your value and you're adding unnecessary baggage. So let's say we don't want to go with the car example, right? Let's just take it straight on. Intimate relationships are like languages that need to be learned and be spoken. Each person speaks their own individual way. If you're marrying someone, you should be confident to be able to articulate your likes and your dislikes intimately. If you can't communicate to your spouse, with your potential spouse, the things that you like and the things that you enjoy on an intimate level, then sex is the least of your worries. I'll say it again. Every single person has different likes and dislikes on an intimate level. Some people, for example, when they kiss, they like tongue. Some people don't. Some people like their lip to be bitten. Some people don't. Everybody has their own preference. People have this misconception that you have to just run through as many people as possible to build up experience. But the problem is that the person that you ultimately end up with has their own unique language. So in theory, by sitting there and running and testing it out with everybody else, you're really wasting your time, because when you start off with that special person, you're starting from scratch because you have to learn their language. And now here comes the problem. It's that you know so many other languages that now becomes a hindrance for you to be able to understand your own spouse's language. Because she says, oh, I like this. And in your mind, you're almost thinking, oh, well, so-and-so like that. Maybe I should do that. Like Obel said, you end up in a situation where you start comparing and you're putting yourself in a lose-lose situation, all because you thought by testing it out, you were in a long-term winning. So you're depreciating yourself. You're adding more issues than necessary. Okay. And you're actually making it more difficult for you to understand the person that you ultimately end up with, because you have so many other people's bodies, so many other people's preferences, so many other people's languages in your head that you have to be able to filter all that out and focus only on your spouse. But in your mind, you were like, I got to test it out before I drive it. I don't know. To each their own. Let's see. We got a call. So let's pick up Juliet. What's up? Let's see. He's calling. Ju.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm good. How's everybody doing?
Good.
Hey, family. Good. Real people, real lives. Gang, gang, gang. Hey, everybody. It's your favorite secretary. I didn't come on to give much feedback or input. I just came to translate for those who don't speak English. Okay. So why am I being considered the first elder? I'm the secretary. Feldini, I am the secretary. The first elder is doing the broadcast. Hi, everyone. Okay, moi vini just pour traduire pour moun ki pa parle anglais. Konem nou gen kek moun ki vini sou broadcast nou ki pa parle anglais.
Let's do it. Let's do this. Is there anyone here on the broadcast right now that doesn't understand what I'm saying? If you don't understand what I'm saying, let me know, because I can translate for myself. So anybody who's struggling to understand what I'm saying, please comment. And if you need me to say in Creole, me and you will kind of work it out. I'm not worrying about Mark right now. I'm not worried about him right now. So
I just really came on I swear we have an amazing topic. Amazing topic nou gen. It's amazing. I swear topic sujet que Asel a parlé avec nous, li basé sur purité. Purité, that's what it is?
I guess.
I mean, if you can translate.
Yeah.
Mark, stop it. C'est purité. So, qui est-ce qui détermine purité nous? Est-ce que c'est nous-mêmes qui déterminons li? Est-ce que c'est l'église là? Est-ce que c'est bon Dieu? Est-ce que c'est monde là tout? Okay. So, ça, c'est le tab dit, Bible, and in my opinion too, li ka bay pi bon définition purité. Mais il y a des fois l'église là, là passe parler de purité, yo ka di jon habillé, jon comporter tête ou l'église là devant moun, mais yo pas fin apprendre nous toute définition purité. OK? Moun là, li gon l'autre définition pour purité tout. So, question c'est que qui jan nous by définition purité et qui est by définition. Okay? And that's all I have to say. I don't think I want to comment on the subject. You said my comments for me. So
all right,
I love y'all.
So like, appreciate you. Thank you. So like I was telling everybody, all right.
Translate for the church folk, please.
I'll address them. Like I'll say for everybody, if I'm saying anything that you're not really understanding or you're not really able to follow, just let me know and I'll say it in Creole. Just shoot the comment. But if I don't see any comments, I'm just gonna assume you understand and I'm gonna just keep flowing because that's just kind of how I am. And I kind of know everybody understands the language. It's not an attack or anything like that. We just all understand to a certain level. So once again, if you don't get it, comment. I got you. Also, please, as we're doing this, like, share with your friends. Please, if you got something you want to say, call in. We could talk about it. All right, I'm about to jump in with Obel real quick. Like, share, jump in. If you have something to say, you can shoot it in the comments. You could call in and give your own point. We're going to get right back on track. What's up, Belle?
Hey. Hi. So I think you kind of hit all the points that I had in mind. Honestly, like, I legit feel like you hit it right on. But I just wanted to add that this subject is really touchy. So, you know, we're coming from a good heart. We're coming from a good, you know, point of view. We're trying to inform people. We want everybody who's on here, because we all know that, you know, things happen in life. But everybody to be aware of it and not feel like there's a sense of any judgments happening. But I want to add to the point where when it comes to purity, like you said, it's not just, you know, sexually. It isn't really just tied in with the word sexual. So it really comes with your character and your values and how you portray those values. I understand that people are not really taking, people who are not from a faith-based point, they don't really take sexuality and how God created it to be seriously, as serious as it should be. And that's why you see a lot of us are walking broken, but we don't really realize it, because what it is that we're connecting, like you said, to so many souls and so many different people, and we bring that into, because like when the Bible said, you become one. So imagine now you're giving yourself to that one person, and something happens, you guys break up, whatever, because, you know, people are gonna, a lot of justifications happen. He's like, oh, that's my boyfriend. So if you don't believe that you shouldn't be sleeping with your boyfriend just because he's your boyfriend, then you're going to end up doing it. And then you're going to have like 10 other boyfriends that you're going to sleep with because you don't really believe that it's not, you know, it's not okay. So what ends up happening is that by giving that person that soul of yours, like that bond, that tie that you just connected, you know, you connected with, you end up losing a part of yourself. That's the problem. So let's say you are whole, like you are whole, and you know, like we know that God can make you whole again. But if you are whole and not you're realizing the value of it, the more people you end up sleeping with, the more broken you become. Let's say, take this paper, you put it into, you just cut a piece of it, right? That's okay, right? You just cut a piece of it. You still have the remaining balance. But let's say you keep sleeping with people. It's like as if you just keep cutting it and you're shredding it apart. So what ends up happening, you feel like there's nothing left in you. So I think people need to start realizing the value of it, not just because, you know, I feel like God doesn't just tell us not to do something. He have a pure and understanding reason why he think is the best thing for us. Because if you look at it into relationship, I feel like some of the main issues is those baggages from sleeping with, you know, with different people, and people don't have the same spirit. So if, let's say, you know, you're sleeping with someone who doesn't have the same spirit and who's an unbeliever, that person brings on their baggage, and now you bring that baggage to, let's say, whoever you married, you know, and you start creating the problem. And like you said, communication is key. If you're not able to communicate with your partner and you're not able to say, hey, listen, let us learn together. Because the thing is, people think you're supposed to, the idea about sex is that, oh, well, it's going to just happen and you just click. Oh, this person, we just don't click, or we don't vibe like that. The beauty about it is that God is not, I feel like God loves us so much that that's one of the things that he blessed. And people don't realize that. It says he blessed marriage. And that's when the devil can use you to either break you or, you know, to elevate you and bring you to the fulfillment, or I would say your destiny, where God wants you to be. So when you in that marriage, and I think I'm losing my train of thought, but when you're in that marriage and you're sharing that with someone, you should be able to experience. It should be an experience, not an, oh man, I'm just seeing how this works, or let's see if he's gonna please me, or let's see if she's gonna please. It's supposed to be a selfless act. So when you are sharing that with so many people, what you're doing is you're literally practicing selfishness. I don't know if that makes sense. It's just selfishness to me. I feel like it's just like selfishness and for yourself, because you're not caring for yourself enough to say, you know what, if I wait, I think it'll be better for me. And you're also looking for that satisfaction. That's why most people end up sleeping with other people, because what they're doing is that this person is not satisfaction out there, that this person is not satisfying me, so I have to go and, you know, sleep with it. The moment you understand it's not about satisfying the other person, it's about satisfying the other person and not your satisfaction, then it becomes a different ballgame. So that was my
great point.
I think it's very touchy, but I think it's extremely important, because we want everybody to know that just because that happens to you doesn't make, you know, you're not whole or anything, because we know God completes it, but we just don't want you to keep practicing the same thing and keep doing it without realizing, hey, listen, I need to take a stand and tell myself I'm going to practice abstinence, because that's important. It's not that, you know, if it happened then you're no longer valuable, or if this happened then nobody wants you. It's just that you have to understand the deeper meaning of it, so that when it happens with somebody that God intended it for it to be, it becomes something special. And awesome, I think I'll leave it as that.
Awesome points. What's up?
All right, I'll just get out. So if anybody has questions,
appreciate your book. So for everybody that jump in, just a recap of what we're talking about. Basically, purity. Who defines it for you? You, God, or church? And the 3 points I was saying is that there's 3 views. All right, I'm just repeating it for everybody that's just jumping in. The first view is your stereotypical church view. It's not every church, it's just your stereotypical one, where it's to have the appearance of godliness, meaning you wear the long clothes, you cover up, and as long as nobody knows your dirt, you're good. All right? As long as you don't know what you're doing, you're fine. We have the secular view, which says that it's my body, I do whatever I want to do. So if I want to sleep with 1,000 people, I will sleep with 1,000 people. If I want to change my gender, I will change my gender. It's my body, I do what I want. Then we have God's view, which is you are not your own. You were bought at a price, therefore honor God with your body, right? And God also makes it very clear. If we look at 1 Thessalonians 4, verse 3, for this is the will of God, your sanctification, that you abstain from sexual immorality. Okay? And I want everybody to understand something real quick. No one is talking like we're perfect. Okay? We've all made our mistakes. Me personally, I'm not at that level where I'm ready to just start giving my whole testimony, my whole business and stuff like that. But I'm a far from perfect person. But what I try to explain to people sometimes is there's a difference between when you make a mistake and when that mistake becomes lifestyle. Okay? We've all, people have been in relationships. People have dated before. Okay? And there are times where you are tempted. Now, when that temptation comes, is that something that when it happens, you're like, this is going to be my new norm? You know what? We had sex that one time. Let's always have sex all the time. Now that becomes a lifestyle, as opposed to, okay, you know what, you and the person that you're in a relationship with have sex, and you realize, yo, we shouldn't have done that. We need to make an adjustment because we're not where we need to be. We're not married. We're not under the confines of marriage to be engaging in that. Okay. Let me see. We got some points. I said, I love these points. Oh, Dr. Crystal says, I love these points, but so far we've been talking from a physical standpoint. But what does purity mean mentally? For I as a man think it, so is he. Very true. I'm about to address that in a second. Sex isn't bad though. Why does the church often speak so badly about that when it's the right time to do it? Some people may still feel guilty and impure. All right, these are wonderful points that I actually wanted to address. So here's one thing that I think is really interesting. I feel like so many times we focus on purity before marriage, but then the moment that we get married, we feel like, okay, I've made it. I don't have to worry about my purity, and so our focus on purity is alleviated after we get married. It's like we feel like, you know what, before I get married, I gotta stay right. I gotta this. Can't entertain that. I can't do this. And then the moment it happens, okay, the moment we get married, it's like, okay, now I got my green card. I don't have to worry about purity anymore. And that's completely false. And I got a lot of people asking what's the definitions of sexual immorality. All right, let's talk about it. Let's see. I had Texas. Let me see. Hold on, guys. I got my notes. Where is it? Sexual immorality is basically a person. Okay, so you say like 1 Corinthians 6:18, right? Where it says, flee from sexual immorality. Every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against his own body. All right, what is sexual immorality? All right, my understanding of it and the way God explained it to me is, imagine you're in a, not even imagine, you're in a relationship with God. You are, quote unquote, dating God. You are faithful with God. God is your partner, okay? If God is your partner, if you are in outside of the confines, okay, because remember, marriage is two people who become one, and God is in the midst of that relationship. So it's actually got you, your person, and God within the midst of that relationship. But outside of that, it's just you doing your own thing, okay, and God on the outside, unless he's blessed it, etc., etc. But when now you start to engage in physical activity, and physical activity could be, okay, you're having sex, you're engaging, let's keep it real, you're engaging in oral, you're engaging in petting, touching, etc., etc. If there's, we're gonna keep it real. We're gonna keep it real. If you're engaging in touching and petting, and it's outside of the confines of marriage, yo, facts is that's sexual immorality. Because if God is your quote unquote bae, right? You're low-key cheating on him by engaging in these acts with other people. Could there be opposition to this thought? Of course there could be. But in fact, that's really what it is. Because if I had a girlfriend, right? My girlfriend wouldn't want me talking to another female crazy hours of the night, touching her in other kind of ways, and doing things that is specially reserved for my girlfriend, right? Or, excuse me, my wife. So in that being said, if when you're single, the person that your relationship is focused on is Christ, then Christ don't want you feeling up on somebody, touching on somebody else. And here's the crazy thing too. Same way you're in a relationship with Christ, okay, and he doesn't want you feeling up on or being sexually immoral with someone else. Christ is also in a relationship with that person, so he don't even want you taking advantage of them sexually. And here's the problem with that. Every single time we dip in the pot or we touch something that we haven't put a ring on, all you're really doing is getting a piece of it, and the moment I decide to leave, I can leave. And that's the biggest problem with it. That's why God tells us to flee from sexual immorality. There is the mental consequences, the physical aspects, but it's literally, you know what? I'm gonna get as much as I can without paying for it, and then I'm gonna leave. So it's like going into a supermarket, you take as much food as you can, you don't pay for it, you run out the store. No person should be treated like that. And that's why we're supposed to avoid it. Now, everybody keeps talking about the mental aspect. Yes, I agree. Let's discuss the mental aspect. The Bible says that let us think on all things that are pure, all things that are righteous, etc., right? A lot of times we do limit purity to only the physical things, okay? But when you are sitting home and you're on Instagram and you sitting there looking at people half naked and you just gawking and gazing, you think you're engaging in purity? Nah, that's the same thing as adultery, because what did Christ say? The people who commit adultery are wrong, but the people who even lust, who even think of it in the beginning, you're already wrong. It's just as bad. So we have to change our mentality from, yo, you know what? I can go as far as I can as long as I just don't do it, to realizing purity is an all-encompassing thing from the moment the things that you're watching, the music you're entertaining. Look, it's tough because we live in a world that purity is a joke for them. It's do what you want, do whatever you want, and who cares? Be as naked as you want, be as free as you want. Everybody got to deal with it, basically. So it's like every time you watch TV, you can never watch TV without seeing a woman that's half naked. Every time you listen to a song, you can't listen to a song without it promoting promiscuous and sexual themes. It's tough. But you know what? That's why Christ said, look, you're going to be in the world, but don't be of it. And as men, and I'm not going to limit this to men, but I think it's extremely important for men, okay? But it goes for everyone. It's extremely important to practice denying yourself of certain desires and impulses without being committed to a certain person. If for yourself, you can't deny certain urges and sexual impulses on your own, it will become nearly impossible when you're with someone. Because when you're with someone, that person's going to get on your nerves, they're going to piss you off, you guys are going to fight, and that person is actually going to push you to do the things that you said you're going to abstain from. Perfect example. Let's say you and your girl, you guys are in a habit, you guys talk every day, or you and your partner, you guys talk every day, you guys have a great relationship. But now one day you guys get into a fight, and that partner doesn't want to talk to you for the entire day. But you're used to talking to someone. Now you can't talk to the main person that you're used to talking to. Now this is the time where you are supposed to exercise that restraint, that patience, and hold back and say, yo, you know what? I know I have this desire, but that doesn't mean that all desires are good. So I'm going to abstain, and I'm going to hold it back. She's not talking to me. She's giving me silent treatment, so I'm going to wait. Then we're going to talk, and we're going to work it out. Instead of putting yourself in a situation where you sit there and you go talk to another girl, you start something that you didn't even think was going to happen. Now you're in a whole other mess that you never want to start. And that's why it's important to train yourself, to abstain yourself from certain desires and urges. It's not every urge you give into. And that is not even limited to just purity. That literally goes for every single thing that you do in your life. If you have a career and you can't train yourself to say, okay, you know what? Right now I want to watch this next episode of Power, but I know I should do my paper. But you can't fight the urge to not watch Power, so you just go and watch Power and you don't do your paper. That will impact your paper negatively. So it's something that we as human beings, we are of the flesh. So we always have these desires and impulses that are always leading us in a certain direction, pushing us into a certain direction. But if you don't train yourself to abstain and to fight back and not give in to every single pleasure, it's going to be difficult. And I've met a lot of young men who have this mentality that, you know what I mean, I could spend my life talking to as many females as I want, running through as many females as I want, and as soon as I meet my wife, you know what, the flip switches and I'm going to be the best person in the world. Listen, it don't work like that. Because there's no way you spend 20 plus years of your life practicing the same exact thing over and over and over again. And then one day now, because somebody walks into your life, they're just going to magically erase what it took you 20 years to build up. That don't make sense. Rome wasn't built in a day, but it wasn't destroyed in a day either. So there's no way that you can have certain mentalities that you've been reinforcing and building up all throughout your life, and then because you think someone's going to walk in, they're just going to... No, people are not Christ. Christ is Christ. Christ can walk in and change your life in a day. People are not going to do that. People are going to test your every nerve, and if anything, people are going to push you to be worse. So it's like, if you weren't ever pushing yourself to really hold it together, it's going to be a mess. Exactly, Cole. Whatever you preach, you're going to get good at it. Yep. Juliet said, sex can be as addictive as alcohol. We shouldn't have to lean on it to solve our problems. Even marriages become healthy that way. Very, very true. Very true. We shouldn't have to lean on it. Right. So, and it's facts. You know, even when you're married, you're using sex as a way to get past all your problems. She wants to talk, you just want to smash. So you smash and you never discuss what needs to be dealt with. And then what ends up happening? Problems build up. Which is why I say, even when you're married, that's not when you sacrifice focusing on purity. Your focus on purity is from the moment you wake up to when you sleep. And even as you're sleeping, you better be trying to focus to be as pure as you can in your dreams. Because, listen, everybody has dreams where there's things going on in the dreams that it's like, whoa, what's going on? You know what I mean? I didn't sign up for this. And at those moments, sometimes you got to pray in your dreams and rebuke whatever's going on in your dreams. So it's literally a non-stop battle. And unfortunately, we live in a world that is proliferated with sex non-stop. Listen, for me, there's shows I can't even watch anymore because every time you turn it on, somebody's half naked, somebody's, you know what I mean? It's just nonsense. I'll give you guys a personal story. I have a cousin of mine, you know what I mean? And I just watched him like grow closer and closer with the Lord. And one day it was like around Super Bowl time, and a commercial came on, and it was of a chick in a bikini or whatever. And the moment that came on, he just turned around and faced the wall. And when I saw that, I thought it was just like, yo, why is he doing that? Like, it's not even that serious. It's just a chick in a bikini. But then later on, as my walk with Christ started to grow, and he started to explain certain things to me, I looked back on that moment, and I was like, yo, that's really how you have to safeguard your mind and your eyes. It's like when someone or something or some stimuli comes across you, you literally have to be ready to face the other direction, and whether it's walk away, turn off the TV, or not entertain it. Because here's another thing that I've learned that's so interesting about the human mind and human soul. Listen to this real quick. Oh, by the way, guys, you know what I mean? Like, share, include, invite your friends so we can come in. Do not feel timid to call in and share your thoughts. You know what I mean? We all talking. Anyone who's not understanding what I'm saying, just shoot a comment. I'll translate if I need to. Just me when I talk, I flow. So I just like to go. So if I'm saying something is too much, just let me know. But like, share, call in if you like to. I love to hear from you guys. I love to hear your thoughts. But did I just forget my point? Wait, what was I saying? Excuse me, this happens when you have a lot on my mind. Alright, I forgot my thought. But from that point, I'm going to go to something that I think is extremely interesting. Whenever it comes to the portrayal, right, of what we deem as purity or... Oh, okay, my cousin, you're right. So, when I realized that, I realized like you literally have to be willing to walk in the opposite direction, not watch certain things, not entertain some people in your life because they're not encouraging the type of lifestyle that you want to participate in. Look, I got some family member that I love to death that I don't hang around with because they're always in a direction they're not heading in a direction that's going to allow me to maintain my purity. And trust me, it's a daily battle. It's not like one day you wake up and it's like, oh, I got it. Or you get married and, oh, I got it. I've read stories of men who are married and have families and are still addicted to porn. So it's not like there's ever a eureka moment that just wipes it all out. It's a consistent battle that needs to be fought daily, that needs to be focused on. And this is also, I think, why we talk about it. But another thing that we got to also talk about is who is defining it for us. Because one thing I've always noticed in church, right, and I always found this so funny, how in church they would always attack females and say, look, you can't be wearing pants in church, you can't be wearing pants in church. And I always kind of had an issue with that. And I realized that that's always been a major topic that's discussed in church. And so I kind of, look for scriptures and kind of saw, okay, Lord, what you want me to say about this topic? Because I know this is a big one. And this is what I got for you guys. It's 1 Peter chapter 3, verses 3 through 4. And it says, don't be concerned about the outward beauty of fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, or beautiful clothes. You should clothe yourselves instead with the beauty that comes from within, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is so precious to God. We're too worried about appearances, ignoring that if we focused on what's within, the external would happen. I kind of read my notes into that. What it's basically saying is, and a lot of times when people see this, because they see it says, don't be concerned about the outward beauty of fancy hairstyles, expensive jewelry, or beautiful clothes. That automatically means, oh, don't wear weave, don't wear jewelry, don't go to church looking cute. That's not what it said. It said, don't be concerned. That should not be your focus. But it didn't say anything about, look, wear nice clothes, wear jewelry, wear your hair in a fancy hairstyle. It didn't say anything against it. It said don't be concerned with it. That should not be your primary focus. What your primary focus should be is to what? Clothe yourself with your inner beauty. That comes with what? The unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is so precious to God. Something I always laugh about when it comes to, when some people start to attack jewelry, right? We always say, oh, at least in the SDA denomination, they always say, oh, women should not wear jewelry. It's bad for women to wear jewelry. All right, cool. But then what about in the other hand, where you have men who are wearing watches that don't work, but it just looks nice on their hand? You don't use your watch to tell time. You use your watch to gloss, to floss, to be fancy, just for the look. It has no functional purpose. So in essence, that watch is your jewelry. And yet there's a hypocrisy in it. We will, in this denomination, they'll attack a woman who wears jewelry and say, oh no, you're not supposed to wear jewelry. But then on the other hand, we'll have guys who are wearing their own form of jewelry. And also understand too, jewelry could be whatever you decide to prioritize or make your idol. It could be your socks, it could be your shoes, it could be your tie, it could be a shape up. Whenever you're deciding to prioritize an aspect of yourself and you're putting it out there so everyone can notice and everybody can be shiny, it's the same concept. The Bible doesn't say don't have Pharisee hairstyles, don't braid your hair. It doesn't say don't wear expensive jewelry, don't wear beautiful clothes. It says don't let that be the focus. And me personally, right? The Bible always says too, there's a time for everything, time for love, time for war, etc., etc. So then that means that there is a time to be and feel sexy. That exists. For a woman and a man, there's a time where you can feel sexy, you can feel amazing, you can even look sexy and amazing on a wife and a honeymoon. I'm not gonna tell a wife when she's on a honeymoon with her husband and it's just the two of them that, oh, you have to wear, the long skirt and the Ellen G. White outfit of 1952. No, like you with the person that you're with. You know what I mean? How you dress is appropriate to that context. And that's the thing that we have to understand. That's why so many people sometimes have issues with how people dress in church. As people, when we put on clothes, we know the impact, or we know how the clothes makes us feel. We know our intentions. Okay? When you're wearing a tight shirt as a guy, you know it's tight. You feel it. So now you have to ask yourself, okay, what is my intention when I'm wearing these clothes? Is my intention to look and feel sexy? Is that my goal when I'm going to church? For a woman, when you're wearing certain clothing and certain form-fitting things, is your intention to look and feel sexy? And if that's the thing, me personally, everybody can have a different opinion, but me personally, I don't feel like church is the place where your goal should be to look and feel sexy. I feel like you should definitely look good, but looking good and looking sexy, two different things. Two different things. And it definitely does fall in the purity aspect. Like I said, purity is not just sexual actions. Purity also is the clothes that you wear, how you carry yourself, how you talk. It's full encompassing. And that's what I'm trying to explain to everybody here. That purity is just not limited to should I kiss her or should I not kiss her. It's so much. It's a mindset that encompasses all these aspects. It's not just sex or touching the person. That is the branches of purity. Because when you have a purified mindset, right, then you'll be less reluctant to get belligerently drunk. Because, when you get drunk, you lose control of yourself. You start doing things that you regret. But the thought didn't start off with, I should never drink alcohol. The thought started off with, my goal is to remain pure and to keep my mind on all things that's in Christ. Just call in if you want to, Fel. My mind says to keep my mind pure. So that could be I won't drink. That could be I'm not gonna wear certain clothing certain places. That could be I'm not gonna do certain things with certain people. But purity is the seed, it's the tree, and everything else is the branches. We constantly put sex as the tree and can't understand why the branches are always messed up. Because we feel like if I don't have sex, I'm pure. That's false. All right, Fel about to call in. And please, guys, understand that if you guys don't pick up anything else, just because you don't have sex, that does not make you pure. You could be celibate for years and still not be pure. Don't play yourself. Talk to me, Fel.
What up, Doc? I believe you're hitting some good points. And I believe there are some people on here that are saying to stick to the topic. But what some of us are failing to realize is that what he is speaking on do fall under the topic of purity. I won't be long. The topic of when it comes to purity, we like to hammer that. We like to hit the nail. We like to hammer it down to our people. Oh, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But then we don't teach our young people what it's like. What is purity? For myself, I never knew what purity was until I got to college.
Right.
Because my church would always tell us, don't do this, don't talk about this, don't touch this, don't look at that. But we won't take the time to teach other people. And it was I believe it was a weekend where the representative, one of the representatives of our school put together a purity conference. And it was at that purity conference that I learned what purity was. I learned about mental purity, physical purity, sexual purity. We like to hit the aspect of sexual, but we don't like to talk about the mental or the physical part of it. Yes, sex can be a big part of it. But the thing is, when we think about it too, mental purity, it's what you think about when you're not around certain people.
Right.
Or I was talking like the other day. I was talking to one of my guys, and then they walk. This one young lady walks by, and he goes, "Ooh, boy, I promise you." And I was like, "Bro, you can't talk like that."
Right.
And the thing is, we have to teach other people what it is and what purity is exactly.
Right.
And I do remember seeing someone asking, what is purity? Purity is defined as the freedom from adulteration or contamination.
Right.
Meaning it's the freedom from doing something, you know what I'm saying, like that you're not supposed to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
We really don't what's the word I'm looking for? We don't take the time to explain what is purity.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, we grew up, for those of us who grow up in Caribbean churches, we grew up hearing, don't have sex, don't have sex,
right.
don't have sex. But we are not explaining what purity is, how it affects our spiritual life, how it affects our physical mind and our physical body in our mind. So therefore, I think what we need to do is we also need to hit every point, like we need to go.
Right.
We need to teach what is purity, what is it defined as, what does the Bible define as purity, and how it can affect us as you. The question is, who defines purity? No one on earth has the power to define purity, because purity is something that God created.
Facts.
And if you really look at it, in the beginning, in the book of Genesis, everything that God saw that he made, he saw it was good.
Right.
You're right, Ed. No one is pure but Christ himself. We are trying to be pure, but the thing is, we have to go through this struggle of life. We have to fight, these spiritual and these demonic these demonic spirits that we have to fight against and to gain our purpose. When none of us are pure, none of us will ever be pure, because there was only one man that is pure, and that's Christ himself. So purity cannot be defined neither by the church nor by us human beings, because we don't hold the true definition or the true meaning of purity.
Right.
But God. So that's all I had to say.
Dope, bro. Dope. Appreciate it.
Y'all have a good night.
There you go.
No problem.
Once again, everybody, feel free to call in. If you got thoughts, if you got something to say. I know Hyson was asking if you could call. So, yeah, if you want to call, just send me a request. I'll answer it. We keep talking about, what is purity. And I kind of defined it in the beginning, but some people came on a little late. So I'll say it again really quickly. The definition of purity is something that is... The definition of purity is... Where is it? It's something that is clean, clear, and I use the word limpid. That is limpid, limpid. And what limpid means is something that is free of anything that darkens. So when something is limpid, it is free of anything that darkens. It is something that is clear. It is something that is transparent. So when something is transparent, what should we see? Well, for us Christians, the believers in Christ who have a Christian worldview, when we are pure, okay, we have nothing that is darkening or clouding up our character or vision of Christ. We have nothing that makes the Christ in us oblique, or when you're pure, it's not hard to see Christ's character in you. Let's see. Kervin says we're trying to be perfect, but at the end of the day, we'll never be perfect. This is very true. You know what I mean? We are sinners. We're always making mistakes. But like I tell everybody, you know what I mean? There's one thing when you make a mistake. It's another thing if you persist in a lifestyle where you're okay with it. For example, you can fornicate and oh, you know what? You had a bad moment. But that bad moment can now turn into a lifestyle where you never stop. And what was one time is now 3 years of still going on, never stopped. And that's the problem. Okay? Ain't nobody here perfect at all. Let me see. Juliet said, "Send me." People are saying send a request. Do I even know how to send a request? Let's see. All right, let me see. Bell, I don't know how to send you a request. Wait, maybe I do. Let's see. Bring Bell. Got you. Purity, freedom
Hi.
from anything. People that limits you and prevents you from being the best version of who God created you to be is defined by God when He asks us to be like Christ. Bell, let me call you right back because Hyson looked like he has something to say, so I'm gonna call you right back.
Okay, no problem.
All right. Sin becomes comfortable. The devil is out to destroy you. Very true. Very true. Juliet, because they mainly see sex, they don't see Christ. We're trying to compute the world. Yup, it's very true, Phil. All right, talk to me, bro.
Hello, guys. Hands on.
How you doing?
Thank you for everything you guys are doing online, man. This is a really good thing y'all been doing, and I've been following you guys a lot.
Awesome. Glad to have you, man.
Yeah, man. I was listening to Purity, what the other brother was talking about, man. And then one thing that made me realize, last Saturday I was in church and the pastor was preaching about the death of Jesus Christ for us, man. And one thing that he mentioned that makes me realize that as far as purity, that Jesus said, "I'm thirsty,"
right
before he died. The pastor mentioned in that sentence, it wasn't a request for anything. It was just "I'm thirsty." Then the pastor go ahead and said, "You know why? Jesus and the Holy Spirit and the Father they've been together for so long that when Jesus died on the cross, He bare all of our sins that God the Father and the Holy Spirit has to be away from." So for the first time, Jesus feel what is it to be alone from the God. So as like he said, purity is something that once you achieve that purity, like only God can help us. So Christian made me realize that everything around us, like you were saying, TVs, music, all these things, I just realized that like you watching the TV, all you see is like sex, women half naked, and nowadays they just promoted anything that they want to, and you have to accept it. But we have to realize that Jesus did all these things for us. We ask Him every day. It's a struggle. I believe it's a struggle for everyone, especially for guys, that we walk in everywhere, like we're seeing things and our minds are wandering, like to see, like, or to think. But we have to challenge that and ask God in prayer every single morning, like when we wake up. But I need to make that effort, that steps toward myself to get closer to God. That's the main point I want to add. Like, because when Jesus said He was thirsty, the pastor mentioned that it wasn't because He was thirsty for water. It's because He felt the emptiness in Him, that he wasn't connected to anything at that point. So I wanted to add, guys.
Appreciate you, bro.
No problem.
Anybody else? Sure, welcome to call. And I kind of feel, led to kind of expound on this point a little bit more as well. Fella, I don't know if you was calling back because you wanted to be back in it. How do we address purity in our churches? How do we address this taboo subject in our Haitian churches? What is the plan of action? I think personally, for me, in order to tackle the topic of purity, in order to tackle the issues that are going on, that are prevalent and what's going on, the first aspect is we have to break the mindset of, okay, purity is only how a person looks. So if a girl wears pants to church, she's automatically not pure. That is an issue because it's not limited to a person's appearance. There's a lot of people who look real good that are doing the darkest things. Okay? And I feel like, especially in Caribbean culture, we judge people so much on how they look. We think all pastors are perfect and all homeless people are the worst. And trust me, you'll
Those
be
are my
fooled.
points.
You'll be fooled. Bobel, talk to us.
Yeah, because I actually wanted to get straight to that because I saw Juliet's comment and I wanted to attack and address that. People don't realize the bigger picture of purity. To me, it's simple as it is. Knowing God's law, following that law because you love him, and actually working towards it. Right. Because we're never going to be perfect. I want people to understand we're never going to be perfect, but it doesn't just come, it doesn't really just focus on the, physical and sexual aspect. It's mentally in our everyday lives. We don't realize it, but some of us in the churches, we're more hypocritical. Right. What it is that we look at someone, they're probably having sex, because they got, raped as a child, and now they're feeling that, okay, I'm just going to give my body to anybody. They have that mental problem. Well, I'm not going to say mental problem to not offend people, but it becomes a psychological issue where they now feel like they need to give, themselves to someone else because there's nothing else to gain from that, So it's not just about just people willingly trying to, go out there and have sex, but there's a lot of issues that come with that as well. So if we look at someone like that, what some of our churches are doing is we look at the person, we judge them. Let's say we know a rumor about someone. Right. We just look at that person, automatically we already label them as what they are doing or what they have heard. No one in the church will actually go to that person and address the issue, say, hey, my brother, I want to help you. I feel like this is what's being said. I want to understand what is going on with you. That way, we can help you grow as a person in Christ. Right. Because what the church problem is that we feel like we should just come in and already have the idea of being pure. Yeah. Oh, this person, as you come, you're supposed to come pure in Jesus Christ. It doesn't work that way. If we're not looking at people and we're actually addressing the issue directly, but not going to set and tell for these, some of our Haitian people and say, oh, ouais, petit ça, il était dans ma madame et tell me, oh, mes amis, what's going on, they're like, did you not know? What they're doing is not even pure because you're not having a pure heart.
Exactly, right.
So that's being part of impure, right. Impure. Just like this person you think is sleeping with that person or mother and tell, and now you're taking that, even if sometimes it doesn't even have to be true. Taking that information and now going to everybody and say, oh, did you hear this? Oh my God, musicien ça, yo pas bon, petit pastor ça, yo pas bon. You know how Haitians could talk and gossip. That's not pure. So what you're thinking you're doing is that, oh my God, my police. No, really, you're being a hypocrite, because you yourself is not being pure in thought. Right. You're not actually practicing Christ-like actions. Right. Do you see what I'm saying? So if we as a community don't realize the issue is not so much about what people are doing, it's what are we doing to help those people, and our intentions are not pure with the way that we approach them, then we're not pure.
Right.
Because Christ, when he walked on earth, he was the only definition of purity. But what he did, he tried to get lives to be better. Right. When people would stone other people for their impurity. I'm sorry. I've been making up words. Impurities. What he would do is he would look at them and turn to them and say, hey, what have you done? Right. Do you understand? Right. What have you done? And then he goes back to that person and he say, listen, go and sin no more. The thing is, we understand that people, we're not perfect, but the problem is because sometimes we talk so much or we push those people more away from Christ and becoming a better person, because they say, oh, well, if they're going to say whatever they say, I might as well, I might as well do what I do. If you don't come to someone and help them through the process, while somebody else could have come and helped you through your gossiping issues, or help you through your addiction, help you through, whatever it is that you're suffering with, then we're never going to grow as a community or as, as Christians. Yeah. So I think that's what we need to start doing and start actually. Sorry, I think I got.
Wait. Okay. I think she's having technical difficulties. Sama said, you should try to do this more often. I learned so much. That's if you have time. Yeah, we try and do this as much as possible. I don't always host. We have always other hosts who are excellent. So if you just like real people, real life church, the page, you'll find us. Bella's still frozen. Also, us being transparent about our areas of weakness as well. Julie said we need to stop blaming church. We are all sick and searching for God's mercy. No, Pauline said God says help yourself and he will help you. We're not blaming the church. Like she said, too many people focus on building lines of gossip towards building. Like the sister said, it's okay, Obel. Like the sister said, too many people are focused on building lines of gossip towards others instead of building agape relationships with others. Okay, let me just address one thing before I actually let me bring on Juliet now. Before Juliet goes, I just want to address one thing. We're all talking about Julie brought up in a statement. She said, "Stop blaming the church. We are all sick and searching for God's mercy." In this conversation, at least for me anyway, there is no Juliet. You good?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, so at least for me, we're not attacking the church and saying that it's the church's fault. I pointed out in the beginning the stereotypical church view, which is that we look at purity as appearance. Okay, it's not about your heart, because as long as you're wearing a suit, you're supposedly pure. But that same person who's wearing the suit is out there doing all kinds of horrible things, is gossiping, which is not a form of purity. And let's make it very clear. Okay, people are saying, what is sexual immorality? What is purity? Purity is the constant strive, the constant walk towards having the character of Christ. So anything that you are partaking in that you don't feel like you'd be comfortable doing in front of Christ, that is a lack of purity. Gossiping, talking crap about people, being angry all the time, having a nasty face all the time. People always say all the time, oh, I just have an ugly face. My face needs to be delivered. Sometimes your face can be a lack of purity. I mean, I understand everybody's got their thing, but having a nasty spirit all the time is lack of purity, because the way you're carrying yourself is impeding the character of Christ to shine through you. So anything that you have within you that is blocking the character of Christ to show through you is what is not pure in you. I hope you understand that. I'll answer the sexual immorality thing unless we're cool with that. Julia, talk to us.
Hi, everybody. So I am just piggybacking a little bit. I have actually 3 points to make as I park my car, so I can do this safely. My first thing, I like this discussion of who defines purity. We have God, we have the church, we have us. I think the reality, however, is if I wasn't raised in the church, or if I wasn't born in the church, and I wasn't raised in my home to have that relationship with God, to allow God to define that for me, the reality is the church is going to define it for me.
Right.
We have a lot of these churches where some congregations don't read the Bible. That's the reality. Our pastor preaches the Bible to us. That's the big reality of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I come here with grave concern for the young kids, because I know what my generation was up to. But the generation after me and the generation after that and the one coming after that, woo, they know too much.
Mm-hmm.
They know way too much.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we have this mentality where there are certain sins that we talk about, or how do I say it? We speak so badly about in a way that us as human beings, we become comfortable in our sin to the point people can't call us out. It's, I'm not perfect. Don't come for me.
Right. Don't judge me.
And I think sex has become, is one of those things where everybody's having sex. Everybody's having sex, or everybody's engaging in some type of
intimate
act.
But
some type of intimacy. But the reality is the church has made it so taboo and has spoken so badly about it that now everybody's just comfortable in it. Don't come for me. Don't talk to me about this. And that's why I asked, how are we really addressing purity in our churches?
Mm-hmm.
How are we addressing it? Because the reality is in our churches, it's being talked about so badly that now it's just like it's as if we're being judged
Right.
if we're engaging in these activities.
Right.
Second of all, yes, purity is very mental. I know pastors who preach so much about, being pure and being abstinent and so on and so forth. I have been to churches where pastors have sent their music directors to tell me how I should dress. And I've come to learn that when a pastor feels the need, when a pastor knows someone who's been ministering for ages and ages and ages, but they still feel the need to tell me how to dress, there's a problem that you're dealing with, sir.
Mm.
And I've learned that in meeting certain pastors who can't look me in the eye when they're talking to me because they're looking at other parts of my body as they speak to me.
Mm.
Purity is a mental thing. That's where it starts.
Right.
Now, I get it. It goes with our intentions. Women especially, we like to look good, and sometimes we might say, yeah, I want to dress sexy. Depends on what your definition of sexy means.
Mm.
Some girls meaning sexy means I just want to look good, I want to look good. It doesn't necessarily mean I want all the guys looking at my butt. I want all the guys looking at my boobs. It does not, and excuse my language if it's too much for some people, but it doesn't always mean that. But what happens is because a person receives it that way, all of a sudden I'm held accountable because you, in your frame of mind, your frame of thinking, you've already been corrupted in your frame of thinking and receiving whatever you see.
Right.
Black women, we tend to be very curvaceous.
Mm-hmm.
So you mean I just can't wear clothes? Like I can't wear clothes that allows you to realize that I am a woman, still a lady, but a woman. It's a very big mental thing. And like I said, I don't know how us in the church we're going to address it. It needs to be addressed from leadership all the way down to the church members. Because if we keep talking about this thing as if it's such a bad thing, sex is not bad. God created sex to be a beautiful thing, but between the right people.
Right.
And that's another thing. Our churches, why do we keep talking about sex like it's the worst thing on earth? It is meant to be a beautiful thing. I read a blog by a young lady who said that she stayed a virgin all her life. She grew up in the church, and she remained pure. But when she got married and it was the right time for her to start having sex, she felt like she was being raped.
Right.
When she wasn't. But in our churches, we've corrupted the definition of purity.
Right.
In such a way that when it comes the right time for us to engage in such a beautiful thing called sex, we still feel guilty when we shouldn't feel guilty in doing it.
Right.
And to piggyback off of Obel's comment, my last comment, and I'm done. And you've also said it too, Asel. Impurity can be as simple as your intentions in anything. Whether it's ministry, whether it's helping someone out, are you doing it what agenda are you pushing? How pure are you in your intentions?
Mm-hmm.
When you getting up to preach a sermon, to do praise and worship, to lead out in Pathfinders, to be in women's ministry, how pure are you? Are you trying to show or prove to so-and-so that you got it like that, you got it in the bag? Because that's also purity.
Right.
That's also purity. If we cannot be humble and genuine and sincere, even in our interactions with church members, are you trying to be friend, sister so-and-so or brother so-and-so because you need to get the latest gossip from him about what happened when, I don't know, he had an uproar or she had an uproar at church? Is that why you're befriending me? Because you need to get the latest gossip out? Or are you befriending me because you're trying to get yourself up into a position in the church that you know what I mean, just to show face?
Right.
Whatever it is, even that is very impure.
Right.
And last thing, as I said before, we need to be very mindful of allowing ourselves to be addicted to these things, whether it's alcohol, whether it's sex, whatever the case may be. Because as I mentioned before, that becomes our solution to everything. Me, I'm a foodie. I love to eat. And I'll admit, when I have a bad day, people at work, people know Buffalo Wild Wings is my spot. Texas Roadhouse is my spot. That is my therapy. But in a sense, that is also impure because we don't learn to deal with our problems in a healthy way. We need to lean on sex. We need to lean on alcohol. We need to lean on food in my case.
Right.
Y'all laughing, I'm serious. We need to lean on food or whatever it is to solve our problems.
Right.
God gives us prayer to solve our issues. God has given us, I feel like God, being able to have a relationship with God, it's like the best form of peace of mind, of spirit
Right.
that you could have. But yes, yet us in our sinful nature, we need to lean on everything else, including sex, to solve our problems.
All right.
That's all I had to say. Have a good night, y'all.
Before you even go, I want to be advocate and I want to ask you a question as a woman. So you said, or let me add, where do you define the line in being mindful of your context and your shape and balancing what you wear, but also not being a distraction? Because I understand in some cases, there's some men out there that, look, you could be wearing, bed sheets, thick bed sheets, and they can't see anything, and they still
and
find
they'll
a way
still
to
undress
be,
you with
exactly.
their eyes.
They still find a way. But as a woman, where do you draw? Where for you is that line? Like, where is that line for you when you're getting dressed and you're like, this really works for my body well, but I don't think I'm gonna do that one today at church. I could do it somewhere else, but not at church.
There's a quote I saw somewhere on social media. It said, your clothes should be tight enough to show that you're a woman, but loose enough to show that you're a lady. So it does go into intention as well.
Mm-hmm.
If you know you a size 8 and you putting on a size 4, okay, and you know good and well that size 4 is showing off all your assets and all your credentials, most likely you might have intentions because Bay is at church and you trying to show off. Now there are some women, exactly, some there are some women that are very curvaceous. I do have friends, and I've had that problem where sometimes, no matter what you wear, sometimes your hips might come out a little bit too much. Sometimes your butt might come out some. Sometimes your boobs might come out some. It's just something that we often can't avoid. But I think it's also in the intention as well. If you're genuinely wearing something and you say, okay, this is, it's also with comfort as well. You should feel comfortable to say, I can walk up to this person, I can walk up to that person, and they're not going to try to hit on me, or they're not going to do this or that. But if you're getting dressed knowing Bay's at church, and when you walk past him, the moment he looks behind you, it's on and popping, then maybe you're not having the right intentions.
Okay.
It's really with your intentions. Why are you wearing this dress? Why are you this? Why are you that? Some women, yes, they want to look sexy, but their sexy is, listen, I lost 25 pounds and I want to wear a nice form-fitting dress. Not because you're trying to, attract all the men or bring all the boys to the yard or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, it needs to be tight enough to show you're a woman, loose enough to show that you're a lady.
Okay. We'll take that.
I don't know if that makes sense.
I get it. I get you. All right, we got somebody that wants to.
Any more questions? Am I done?
Nah, yeah. If you got something else, you can jump on.
All right, y'all.
Pick up Ed.
Have a good night, y'all.
All right. How you doing, boss?
Doing well, man. I just wanted to listen just to fellowship. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to fellowship and just, enjoy the conversation and whatnot. But I guess I have some questions and I have a confession. I'm not pure at all.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been pure for a long time, so pray for your boy.
Hey, we
um,
all trying, man. We all trying.
here, yeah, I'm with it. I'm with it. I meant that. I meant that intentionally or whatnot, which is the reason why I said it first. Um, I think everyone is. While I've heard that everyone is trying to make purity all-encompassing, purity, in the way we act, the way we dress, the way we have sex or lack thereof, and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I wanted to do was move away from the definition that we've been using as for purity. Not that it's not good or whatnot,
Right,
but
right,
I
right.
figured since we are a community of faith, let's use what the Bible is talking about purity. And it baffles me because there is multiple facets, both in the Old Testament and both in the New Testament, about what purity is
Right.
and what it isn't.
Right.
And while I agree with you that purity is being blameless, being lipid, and whatnot, great SAT word by the way, boss, being undefiled and things of that nature. I think one of the things that we're saying, but we're not hitting in the target, is purity begins with the heart. Purity begins with the intention.
Facts.
And we see this because I think the Bible also says out of the heart
Out of
flow.
the
I think out
abundance
of
of the heart, the
the
mouth
heart
speaketh.
flows the. You know the text, awesome. And I think a lot of us get lost in the music because we believe purity to be something that is of exterior nature,
Right.
not understanding that purity already began at the heart. I'm reading Psalms flip. Where is it? I think it's Psalms 119, um uh where it says, "How does a man please God?" or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, by doing the law of God and whatnot. And I believe that purity also. I'm sorry. The Bible says that purity. I'm trying to get all my thoughts because this is.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think you want to pick me, but purity is the obedience to God's word
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
in all respects.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be pure, you're listening to God's word. So in the nature of sexual, you've been talking. Everyone's been talking about sexual immorality, which is, I guess, this should be your next topic.
Mm-hmm.
As it relates to sexual immorality for people who need to know, is a mind thing, and it's something that is outside of the confines of the design of God.
Right.
So if I'm doing something outside of the design of God, premarital sex, as you've mentioned,
Right.
homosexual relationships, as that hasn't been mentioned, pornography, a whole lot of things outside of the design and the confines of marriage and whatnot, that is being sexual immoral and whatnot. But
Right.
again, boss, it begins with the mind.
Right.
I believe that if we can be honest with ourselves, and we'll talk about sex real quick, because I think there's something else there, and I'm gonna try and see if I can get out your hair quick. A lot of people are falling into this impurity, sexual immorality, or all rest that stuff because their minds
Yeah.
are not there. Their minds are not pure. Their intentions are not pure. I think a lot of people are are just suffering in that domain where they're looking for something. They're trying to feel. They're trying to connect, and this is what sex, I believe, is. It's a form of connection. It's a form of communication, humanistically speaking, with the divine intertwined.
Yeah.
And the fact that we've been improperly taught of what purity in the sexual aspect is, because I mean, folks don't want to talk about what's going on in the bed for
True.
some reason, which sucks.
True.
You know, people are exploring, and in that exploration, they become impure because
Yeah.
they're going outside of the divine nature of God.
Right.
When it comes to the clothing that females and males wear, you made mention of the medium shirt,
Yeah.
and you have size 12, 13 muscles or whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
You look Vegeta and all those Dragon Ball Z characters. I believe the problem is a lot of people's minds are impure,
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
the elder to the pastor to the people on stage.
Yeah.
So they're worried about how a curvaceous woman is coming on stage.
Yep.
Her booty's plow and everything. She has all the right curvatures and whatnot. And they're just worried because, well, in their minds, something is going inside of them that they cannot control
Yeah. Yeah.
because their minds are not pure. So I believe that if we're going to talk about purity, we need to be able to understand that purity begins with the heart. purity begins with the intention of someone, and things of that nature. And just to finally nail it and whatnot, um, I said it in jest, but I think it's really true that a lot of us are not pure. If we look in the Bible in terms of the words for purity, the
Mm-hmm.
words in the Old Testament and the New Testament, which I enjoy about what purity is, one thing we'll realize that the usage of purity, both in the words of Christ and also in the words of Paul,
Right.
majorly, and sometimes in the other epistles and whatnot, your Peters, your Titus, your Timothy's, which is also Paul, I should say. Um, the usage of purity comes out in two different ways, and I might be a little off, and someone who's more theological, more inclined, can straighten me out. Purity that Paul brings, and you brought about First Corinthians, and you brought some other Thessalonians and things of that nature about how we ought to be living and whatnot. If we understand the context in which Paul is talking, he's talking about how Negroes weren't doing what they needed to do.
Right.
The Corinthians were having sex, for crying out loud, with temple prostitutes, trying to connect with the divine, which is a form of idolatry,
Right.
which is also sexual immorality. This one kid was having sex with his father's wife and whatnot, and things of that nature. And one of the things that you see with Paul is that he's asking for the people to be pure,
Right.
realizing that they cannot do it because that's the reason why he's writing to them. But at the end of it, he brings out who is pure,
Right.
and the fact that our connection to the one who is pure is the reason why we are pure. If
Right.
that made any sense.
Yeah.
God is Jesus in Matthew chapter 8, I believe, in the Sermon on the Mount, says, "Blessed are those who are pure in heart." And I
Mm-hmm.
forgot the rest of the text. When I'm not even gonna try and front or whatnot. But when you talk about pure in heart, um, the Sermon on the Mount, just in context, and I'm gonna wrap this out, is really Jesus trying to express what the kingdom of God is, and how those who are aligned with Him, the one who was supposed to come, and the one who died, and the one whose life we now live if we accept Him by faith,
Right.
those who reach out to Him for all that they need, if they're pure, realizing that they're not pure, period, we're not pure at
Yeah. Yeah.
all
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
whatnot. But if we submit our lives, and this is where the heart comes, if our heart has is singleness towards God,
Right. Right.
then we become pure as a result of the merits of what Jesus has done.
Yeah.
It's not. I promise you. Tomorrow, if a shorty comes my way, and I'm not trying. I'm just trying to be real, since
Yeah.
we're a
Yeah.
real
Yeah. Yeah.
church, right? If a shorty comes my way in church and she's looking kind of fly, I promise you, my unpure heart is going to say, "Jesus, what a woman you've made." What I do with that action, what I do with that thought, if I continue
Right.
what's the word, to germinate and to fertilize
Right.
that
Entertain
thought,
that thought.
this is where impurity becomes,
Yeah.
and things of that nature. So I just wanted to put it out there. Like, I mean, if we're talking about the heart, it begins from the mind. Uh, um, um, I mean, who defines it? Who defines it? I think the answer is pretty clear, but I guess since we're having a conversation, it is. God defines
Yep.
purity. And I
Yep.
realize God's bar for purity, I'm going to show you, is too high for us humans and us
Facts.
mortals to be
Facts.
able to compare on it. I think this conversation should be now, since we cannot attain the purity of God, how can we accept Jesus and his pure life?
Yeah.
Jesus and his ability to do what his father was asking him to do. Jesus and his obedience to the law, which is what purity in the Bible is.
Right.
How can we accept his? I hope that you guys were blessed with it. I'm going to be a troll.
Oh,
I'm going to
beautiful,
continue,
bro.
throwing out some questions for people and whatnot. But I just wanted to be able to put it out there that, being pure, purity, while it's something that we're searching for, something that we're longing for, folks, it begins with the heart. I think every
Mm-hmm.
morning, I think a gentleman before came out and says, said it, we have to ask the Lord each and every day to be pure, and the desires for purity, or the desires for anything. But I think really it begins with the heart and the mind. And if your heart and your mind is good, I don't care if you want an Ellen G. White cert. I don't care if you're a pastor like myself. Like, you can do all those great things. If your heart is not pure, you're not pure. And
Yep.
that's plain and simple, man. Be
Yep.
blessed.
Beautiful, man. Appreciate you, bro. Um, All right. I'm still taking calls. I'm also taking questions. There's a couple things that I'll answer. Let's see. I'm loving the comments, guys. There's something Lim said that I like. She said, "Brothers also need to learn how to practice self-control in all areas. What's their everyday looking like? Are they taking in music, social media conversation that's going against their efforts to be pure? And then the church comes, then all of a sudden it's a woman's responsibility to help them maintain their purity. Nah, that brother needs accountability." Wonderful point. And the fact on that is, I agree. Sometimes we put too much onus, okay, on the woman to do her part to be pure, but we don't attack the guy. Why? Because, like I was referring to, the stereotypical church view, once again, not all churches, I have to keep explaining that, but your stereotypical church view is the appearance of godliness. So now you have men who are in the suits and in the good clothes, but their minds are not pure. So because they look the part, it's easy for them to attack the female who doesn't look the part. But if we now see each other with the eyes of Christ, and now your intentions, your heart is exposed, you'd realize you as a man are more naked in your mind than the woman who you thought was wearing few clothes. So we as men, okay, have to also do our parts. You cannot be on social media looking at every half naked picture as possible and then thinking that you're just because you're not having sex, just because you're not with somebody, you're still pure. False. You cannot be listening to music that is entertaining you, have sex and sleep with someone all day, every day, and then feel like just because you're not having sex with somebody, you're pure. False. False. There was another point somebody brought up. Oh, Mowgli asked a question. He said, "The devil was created to be perfect. I feel like us trying to be pure could also be our downfall. So is it possible to become pure without falling?" All right, I just want to correct that statement for you. Um, I wouldn't say the devil was created to be perfect. Okay, we all, from us to the angels, were all created with free will, and within that free will, we're allowed to make the decisions that we made. We aren't created to be perfect. We are called to be perfect. I like that statement for myself. We are called to be perfect, but we have the choice to make the decision that, you know what, I don't want to follow God's laws. I'm gonna go off and do our own thing. It would never be a downfall to pursue perfection, because that's what Christ calls us to do. Christ calls us to pursue perfection. In fact, by trying not to pursue it is where you fall. The thing that happens is people get discouraged because when they try to pursue, okay, purity, it's hard and it's difficult, and they feel like the failure. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm worse than I was before. But understand that pursuing it means that you are aiming for a lifestyle of purity, not a lifestyle of sin, and God will always honor what you're pursuing. Okay, we all know, we ain't nobody on this line perfect. Ain't nobody on this line have never sinned or never done something we're not supposed to do. But at the end of the day, what are you pursuing? Are you pursuing to be Christ-like, or are you pursuing your own passions and your own will? Going through some more comments. Church is trying to maintain a level of control. Church wants to control you and your behaviors. Facts. No more compa shame goes out the window. I mean, me personally, hey, if you married and you and your wife kicking it and you play the song, it's you and your shorty. Go for it. Let's see. But that's just me. Where does a parent fit into educating the child about purity? I mean, I feel as a parent, you got to keep it real, because parents have this thing where it's like, okay, if I don't tell my kid will find out. That's false. If you don't tell your kid will find out from someone else. First of all, your kid is going to find out from someone else anyway. You can't do anything about that. But what you could do as a parent is be responsible and try and give them the most accurate information as you can. By you withholding it, you're not preventing them from learning about it. You're just not telling them your knowledge. They will still find out. Google exists. Cell phones exist. There's a lot of crazy things going on. So as a parent, you have to almost be ahead of the ball. You have to attack the conversation fearlessly. Like when my dad spoke to me about stuff, the conversations were real straightforward. There's no sugarcoating. But the blessing in that is when I would talk to my friends about certain things, I already had the knowledge of someone who was way wiser than me, someone who I trusted, someone who was actually, the man's married, he's experienced. So I'm getting factual information instead of myths and, different things from my own peers. Perfection is overrated in a different way. I mean, Hanif, if you want to call, you're more than welcome to. You're always welcome to. Comme une terre à terre suppliée après le du ciel. Yeah, I see you ones. How do we maintain purity? How do we move towards it? We're living in a world where the media defines purity for many. Insecure, scandal, some long word that, let's see, how, I don't even know what that means. Music, social. Okay, how do we maintain purity? It's the same way you maintain your weight or your healthy body. You don't just work out and then go home and eat all kinds of crap and then you cool. In order to maintain a healthy body, you're working out, but you're also eating the right foods. You're sleeping and resting at the same time. And it's an all-encompassing thing. It's an entire lifestyle thing. You're not out here drinking milkshakes every day. You might cut out dairy. You might cut out red meat. It affects every aspect of your life. You might stop the consumption of alcohol. That's how you maintain your body. So how do we maintain purity? What the same way when you decide to work out, what? The thought begins. Okay, and once you have the thought now determines what the rest of your actions will do. And that's actually something that I wanted to point out. I know there's comments, but I'm getting excited right now. We as human beings, right? And when I heard this, I loved it. And I want to share it with you guys. We as human beings, we have ideas, okay? And the moment we create an idea and a concept, it now sits in our head. But as human beings, we are not satisfied with just having an idea or a concept. We now want to experience it. That is what the human soul does. We have an idea, and now once the idea is set in our mind, we want to experience it. So you say to yourself, man, I wonder what turkey tastes like. Just having the thought is not enough for you. You now actually want to experience it, which is why God tells us, if you think about a woman in a lustful way, you've already committed adultery. Why? Because the moment you have created the seed in your mind, you have created the concept in your mind, your body now wants to experience the seed that you placed. That's why to maintain purity, you can't even have the seeds. The same way if you're going to live a lifestyle where you're a healthy lifestyle where you're working out and you're taking care of your body, that starts from the mind. The mind starts off and say, I want to be more healthy. I want to live a better life. I want to be healthier. Okay, what do I have to do? I have to go to the gym. I have to stop eating certain things. I have to stop drinking certain things. I have to cut this food out. So purity, I want to be pure. What do I have to do? I have to stop listening to certain music. I have to stop hanging around certain people. I have to stop putting myself in certain situations. Stop having certain conversations. Stop talking to certain people. It's not just don't have sex and that makes me pure. No, the mindset starts here, and then you realize, yo, maybe I shouldn't be looking at certain things on Instagram. Yo, maybe certain shows I really need to stop watching, because if I want to talk about I want to be a great wife, but I'm sitting there in entertaining shows like Scandal that promote promiscuity and infidelity and cheating, that's not helping you. That's called cognitive dissonance, okay? Where you have one thought, but you're doing something drastically different. Let me keep going through these comments because I know we got a lot. I'm pursuing to be better than what I once was, which also means I'll be transparent through testimony and letting others know God's still working on me. Amen to that, Lynn. Like the Bible says, confess to each other one another's sins so that we may bear each other's burdens. We confess to each other not to judge each other, but so that we can uplift each other and help us through. The problem is that everybody's so in your stereotypical church, okay, we so worried about the appearance of godliness that the moment someone says, yo, I struggle with this, even though probably half the church is still struggling with the same thing, everyone has the nerve to judge. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak. Yes, it definitely is. Kids are each other's teachers. Facts. Don't let kids teach your kids. It's horrible. Look at that. Josiah knows where babies come from. He's 4. He learned about it by reading about elephants. Kids are a lot smarter than you think they are. All right, Neff's gonna call. What language is that? Hey, I don't even know what I was saying at the time. Let's see. Oh, that was when I was trying to read my French. Yeah, it was rough. Sorry. I wanted to add, we are so insensitive to what's going around us as Christians that doing the right thing feels as a wrong thing to do. We need to keep praying and ask God to help us every single day. I agree. But they start thinking that they are entertainment. We bet. Okay, so if I had to speak in Creole, don't judge me for what's about to happen. So, pour tout le monde qui parle en créole, ok, ça m'a dit, si vous voulez gagner un mindset, I guess, qui pure, qui bon, ou pas seulement pas ou pas seulement not have sex, pas coucher avec un monde, ok? C'est li commencer dans tête tout, ou besoin yeah, I'm done. Okay, my curl is rough. I just can't. I'm gonna just stop where I'm at. Point being, in simple English, okay? You can't achieve purity by simply not having sex. Another example I have for you guys. We all see speed limits all the time, okay? Now, when you see a speed limit, just because you follow the speed limit, does that mean that makes you a great driver? No, not at all. You can follow the speed limit but still be a horrible driver. What makes a great driver? You understand all the rules of the road. You're able to adapt around the people around you. You're able to make split-second decisions. You can defensively drive. You can aggressively drive. It's not just, I follow the speed limit. So in that same aspect, and we keep re-harping this point again, when we're focusing on purity, it's not just, I'm not going to mess with certain, I'm not going to engage in sexual immoral acts. It's deeper. We just keep repeating the same thing. If you look at everything the world is doing at this point, if you're willing to simplify it, whatever the world's doing, don't do. If the world's out there clubbing and getting super drunk, don't do that. If you see everybody sleeping around with everybody else, just don't do that. Let's go with some comments. All right, we got people calling. Everybody judging my curl. Listen, my curl is not that bad. Today is just rough because I got a lot on my mind. For example, I listened to a rap song one day, and the lyrics were so degenerating to women, and I had this conversation with people, and their point were, we can't take these lyrics literal and act on it. It's a form of art and expression. See, that's my issue with that statement, where people are exposed, or we see things that we don't agree with, that we know it's wrong, but we basically try and sugarcoat it, and we're just like, oh, it's okay, it's just a form of expression. Listen, if somebody, okay, and here's what I have to say about that form of expression. Let's say you have a daughter or a sister or a niece, okay? Somebody, and if my curl is not that bad, if somebody walks into your crib and it's like, yo, I'm about to rape all your people, I'm about to rape your daughter, I'm about to smash your thing, you would punch that person in the face, try and kill them, take care of them real quick. You would not tolerate it from anybody else. But because somebody is a quote-unquote celebrity, has all the gold and the chains and all that, you let them say any crap on a song, any crap on social media or whatever, and accept it and call it an expression of art. But yet, if you were to allow somebody else who's just a normal person to say the same exact things, you'd never accept it and you'd never tolerate it. So we have to have the same exact standards that we will hold for our own brothers and sisters that we have for these artists. You can't be supporting artists that are promoting raping people, killing people. It's nonsense. Oh, Belle, talk to us.
Actually, I just wanted to come here to help out with the Creole.
Listen, go ahead.
I probably won't do any better.
Go ahead.
No judgments, no judgments. Okay, I'm just gonna say, just paraphrase it. Pour moun ki pale Creole yo, mwen just la pou mka pretty much explique sa sel so di nou. Basically, sujet a c'est na pale de pureté. Pureté c'est là où li pas just commencer physique. Dans physique, il commence dans tête ou, il commence dans esprit ou, dans ça va penser chaque jour, dans action et il vient refléter dans action. Et ça veut dire, il vient refléter dans action et il commence dans cœur. Si vous pas un cœur pur, dans action il pas refléter ça. So pour monde qui bien comprendre exactement ça veut dire, c'est que basically in general, si on fait tout ça le monde a fait ou pas pur. Et nous voulons aussi ajouter que c'est seul bon Dieu qui pur, non au sens que il sans péché. So nous-mêmes, si nous pensons que nous parfaits, nous pas jamais parfaits. Mais ça nous qu'a fait, nous qu'a essayer chaque jour pour nous marcher dans voie, bon Dieu quitter pour nous, pour le qu'a aider nous. Gagner un cœur pur. Là nous lever le matin, prions qu'a aider nous que OK, là nous marcher n'a dit bon Dieu, aidez-moi pour me gagner un cœur pur. Aidez-moi pour me carrer pour ça m'a fait en toute activité pour moi qu'à refléter caractère qui c'est pure vraie définition of purity. So I hope that
awesome.
I kind of clear that up. Hopefully I don't get judged as well.
Oh, hey, you did better than me. That's all that matters. So as we continue to talk about this, and everyone, please don't be intimidated. You're more than welcome to call in and give your thoughts and where you stand, guys. If you even have a question or you're wondering what to talk about or how to better help your own walk in purity, feel free to ask. That's what this is about. To talk about the things that we don't get a chance to talk about in church, the things that we want to talk about, the immediate issues that we're dealing with, but we just don't get a chance to discuss it. That's what this is for. how can we, okay, we agree that we all need help with purity. How can we address it and not feel judgmental? It's a very simple thing. And this is something that God taught me. When we look at let's say you on the street and you look at a homeless person or you look at a crackhead, the only reason you think you're better than them is because you feel like you could never be them. That's the only difference. When you look at a girl that gets pregnant or a guy who got caught in some crazy scandal and you feel like, oh wow, you know what I mean? Look at them, how horrible. That's a moment of pride because you feel like there's no way I could ever end up in that situation because I'm so on point and so great and so awesome that I can never this, I can never that. But here's the funny thing about that. And this is something God taught me. All of us have fallen short. We already understand that. None of us here are perfect. But all it takes is one bad decision for you to end up in the same exact places that people that you're judging end up. Sometimes that girl that you see who's pregnant, that you're saying, oh, she's so promiscuous. It's not that she was promiscuous. She could have been raped. And now she's pregnant. You see something, but you don't understand the story. And because you feel like you're so high and mighty and you feel like you can never end up in that situation, that's what gives you the galls to judge, okay? And so now when people come and they express their story to you, you feel high and mighty. Why? Because you feel like you could never end up in that situation. Trust me, there's people, okay? And I know of someone actually, someone who smoked weed one time, and it was laced and they lost their mind for 3 days. 3 days. And you have people who smoking weed for years. Nothing ever happens to them. But that one person that smoked weed for one time and they went in psychiatric ward for 3 days. So people think that messing up or ending up in bad situations is this mystical thing that you could avoid and it's never going to happen. Listen, God forbid, but right now, a calamity could come upon your house and all your finances and you lose everything. And just like that, you're homeless. Just like that, you're homeless. And the same people you're judging on the street, that's you. Something could happen to you right now where people you felt like, oh, that would never happen, easily happen to you. The boyfriend or the girlfriend that you have that is oh so super faithful. You can sleep with them tomorrow night. Because I know there ain't nobody gonna sit on Sabbath, right? You can sleep with them tomorrow night and then catch an STD because they was cheating and you never knew. And now your whole life is completely flipped. Not by your own choice. But boom. And just like that. And just like that, the same people you were judging, saying, oh, look at them. I never be like them. You're worse. So what's the point of everything I'm saying? That's how we will reach a level where we can be transparent and work and grow. It's by when someone speaks to you and someone is telling you, look, this is what I struggle with. Okay, this is the thing that I suffer with. Realize, first, you humble yourself and say, yo, first of all, there's things I struggle with. There's things I deal with. Secondly, if I make one decision, I can easily end up just like that person. Easily. I'm no different from them. One thing I think that's crazy, especially for young men, and I've come across a lot of young men that suffer with like pornography and sexual morality. It's just rough for them. And as a young man in today's world, it's crazy. It's crazy. Every time you turn on TV, social media, being naked is apparently the thing in the world now. That's just what it is. So for as a young man who's walking in Christ and you're trying to walk the right way, it's almost impossible. And then we just talking about things on TV and social media. We're not even talking about the people around you. Like the people around you are encouraging you to engage in behavior that's difficult. And here's the problem now. How many young men, and even if you're watching right now, ask yourself for a second, do you feel comfortable to go to someone in your church and say, I'm struggling with pornography and I need help. Can you help me? Like there's many people who are struggling with this who feel like they have nobody they can talk to. Why? Because they're afraid of being judged. So now what happens is they're trying to fight a difficult battle on their own. They're struggling, okay? But they don't even know where to go for help. They feel like they can't go to the church because the church is going to judge them, and they don't want to be judged. No, nobody wants to be judged for their sins. They want to be better from it. They don't want to be, you're into porn, you're horrible. And now people never want to invite him over the house. All the girls don't want to talk to him. They treat him like nobody wants to be treated like that. You know what I mean? People, every single person has struggles. We should not look at a person's struggles as something to take advantage of, like Julia said. When a person comes to you with their weakness, that's God giving you an opportunity to be their strength. Not, you're down, I'm going to kick you down even more. No. So how do we as Christians help other people who are struggling? We have to humble ourselves and realize, we just like them. There's nothing different with us. And if they're coming to me, it's because God is giving me an opportunity to minister, to be of help, to help somebody overcome these difficult things. Because trust me, these things, it covers such a multitude of things. It's not just, okay, we have the young man that's dealing with pornography, but then what about the girl who's in an abusive relationship and she wants to get out but she doesn't know how? And she would want to talk to people in the church, but people keep judging her because, you're stupid for staying in that relationship. Listen, I've met girls who are in bad relationships and they know they're in bad relationships. And it's not like they want to stay. They just don't know how to leave. And now it's not even just a church thing. As a basic human being, you should always be compassionate to someone's struggles and be the person that helps them, that listens to them, don't just be so quick to, this is what you need to do, this is how you need to do it, and that's it. No. Empathize with their struggle, empathize with their pain. Show them that you understand them and that you see them and view them as an equal, and that you're there to help them reach whatever goal or solution that they're looking for. That's the way we got to be approaching everybody. That's the way we're going to be able to maintain purity, because to achieve purity on your own is tough. It's tough. It has to be a community, because like the Bible says, be mindful of the people that you keep in your circle. So if you're a person and you're striving to be more pure, whether that be not gossiping, whether that be not engaging in sexual immorality, whether it be, not looking at people lustfully, etc., then you need to be around a community of people that are constantly encouraging that. And sometimes that community might not be in your local church. Sometimes it might be in school. Sometimes it might be real people, real live church. But you have to find the venue in which will allow you, okay, to move forward in the direction that you want to head in. You want to, walk right and not curse more. Well, be around people that don't curse. You want to be more peaceful. Well, be around people that are not always entertaining drama. Okay? One thing that we don't always keep in mind, everything external has an influence on us, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. Okay? Whether it be entertainment, music, TV, all of that, or the people in our immediate circles. You, like the Bible says, you have to be ready to cut off your own right arm if it's ready for you to sin. Now, for me, I will cut people out my life. I will cut music out my life way before I cut my right arm, because I play piano and I enjoy my arms very much. So I will cut people out my life. Listen, if I had to throw away my laptop or throw away, anything that was leading me to sin, I do what it takes. Because at the end of the day, this life is temporary. This is not eternal. The eternal goal is what we're aiming for. Heaven. That's forever. This is just, it's like you're going to sacrifice everything that you've worked for, suffer for what? A quick pleasure? Come on, guys. Let me see. Let me go through some comments. People like to take advantage of other people's struggles. Facts. Also, if anybody wants to call in, feel free. We have to learn to love ourselves. Low self-esteem is a big issue, extremely big issue. They do it so they can feel better about their own sins. Yes, please, people, do not ever take joy in other people's calamities and feel like just because something bad happened to somebody else, you're better off. Don't. God will humble you so fast you won't even know it. Not just remember Haman and what he tried to do to Mordecai. Not just judges, Haitian churches, they are not well equipped to help if we ask for such things. But I believe if you pray God, he will put someone in your path. True. If you feel like you're in a church that is not equipping you with the things that you need to deal with the sins that you're struggling with, I'm not saying leave your church, but if you need to go to another church where they do have the tools, where maybe they have counselors or psychologists in which you can express the things that you're suffering from, okay, and They will give you the tools that you need to help with, because everybody's always quick to say, "Oh, just pray about it, you'll be fine." Listen, it's not that simple. It's not there. If that was the case, they would have been fine. And I think that's something we also need to discuss too. Sometimes when we're pursuing the things that we struggle with, especially in the pursuit of purity, it's not as simple as telling a person, "Oh, just pray about it, God will take care of it." If it was that easy, they would have prayed about it and it would have been done. It's not. It's a battle. It's a struggle. A struggle and a battle is not always one with just a quick prayer. Sometimes it is, but sometimes it requires a fight, a struggle. Blood needs to be drawn. Sweat needs to be, needs to escape from your pores. There needs to be losses. There needs to be struggles. There needs to be an uphill battle. It's not just, "Oh, pray about it, God's got you." No, sometimes there needs to be a fight and a struggle. Sometimes they need you by their side to cry with them, to keep them accountable. Guys, we can't just keep simplifying people's struggles into a 5-minute prayer. Jesus will fix it, and then think that's all right. No, a hungry person don't need a prayer. A hungry person needs a meal. Let me see. They're gonna use you as examples in their sermons. That's funny. We have married people in abusive relationships. We have many types of people in abusive relationships. It's a culture. All right. Once again, the line is open if anybody wants to call. While we're here, I guess I'll also touch on the topic of sexual immorality, because that's something that somebody brought up, and I wanted to really clarify that. We have a habit of simplifying sexual immorality as sleeping with a person, and so we engage in all kind of conversation, all kinds of inappropriate conversation. Okay, maybe even inappropriate interactions, but we say to ourselves, as long as I'm not sleeping with that person, I'm fine. And that's a big issue, and that's false. That's a myth. You have to understand that your impurity doesn't begin, as we've said many times, when you sleep with a person. It begins from the inception of the idea. When you're married and you start talking to someone in the same way that you would talk to your wife, with that same level of carelessness and flirting and entertaining conversations that you would with your spouse, they say emotional cheating exists. Whether people want to ignore mind, you have already started a relationship with that person, an intimate relationship. Why is it intimate? Because you are engaging in a behavior with them that you wouldn't engage with anybody else. You engage in that relationship with your wife, and you engage in that relationship with the other people. So that, is an intimate relationship. You wouldn't go up to your postman woman and be like, "Hey baby, what's up?" You wouldn't go to your pastor if he's married, or you wouldn't go up to your pastor and be like, "Hey baby, what's up?" So if you're married, but then you're also talking as a man, and you're talking to other women saying, "Hey baby, what's up?" Or as a woman, you're talking to other men saying, "Hey baby, what's up?" But that's the relationship or a type of language that you save only for your husband. You've already begun to start cheating. And whether your spouse is like, "Oh, it's fine, it's okay." Well, look, in God's eyes, that's not cool, because you're engaging in intimate relationships with other people outside of the confines of how God meant it. And now once we start talking about conversation, well, conversation leads to action. Because once you put the seed in, the human experience wants to experience that. You start talking a certain way. Then talking leads to meeting up. Meeting up leads to situations. And then now you're in a situation you never wanted to be in. That's in the married sense, but also in the single sense too. Because if we're going to say that, our goal is to be pure and right in front of God's eyes in the sexual sense, then how you're talking to people is a very, very important thing. And I don't want to just talk, I'm going to back it up with scripture. So we have, where are we at? We have two scriptures I'll give you guys. We have Titus 1:15, which says, this is the TLB version, which says, "A person who is pure of heart sees goodness and purity in everything. But a person whose own heart is evil and untrusting finds evil in everything. For his dirty mind and rebellious heart color all he sees and hears." What does that mean? When your heart is not right, everything that you look at, everything that you see, your mind Okay, it didn't even say anything about what you do yet. It said your mind and your heart color everything that you see in here. You ever been around a person and no matter what happens, they can just always make a dirty joke out of it? Like, you could be drinking water and they'd be like, oh. That's the product of that. When your heart is focused on that, the things that are debased and is dirty, a dirty mind, you can literally make anything nasty. Things that, sometimes I've seen, like little kids, and they'll be at parks, and you have like two-year-olds, 3-year-olds, they'll kind of bump into each other, and then they'll kiss each other on the lips. And then I see like people make the biggest deal out of it, like, oh my goodness, these kids are this so fast, and it's like the kids don't even understand what they did. They just kind of like bumped into each other with their mouths. But adults will turn something that kids don't even understand that they did as to this big, impure, disgusting, horrible thing. Oh, these kids are horrible. But it's not the kids. They don't know what they're doing. It's you who is coloring the situation. Now, do you use that moment as a learning experience? Of course you do. But to color it and make it like, oh my God, this is so dirty, this is so horrible. That's exactly what Titus is talking about. That's what the verse in Titus is talking about. A person whose own heart is evil and untrusting finds evil in everything, for his dirty mind and rebellious heart color all that he sees and hears. Comments. Haitians only believe in prayers. Nothing wrong with that, but sometimes you just want to cry with someone and talk. Yes, that is very true, someone. Hanif says, funny how Jesus doesn't believe in only prayer. He said, where 2 or 3 are gathered, yes, in my name, there are we also. Don't just pray, go gather and talk to people. Yes, it's a community. All right, it's a community. And wherever you find that community, use it, because I promise you, walking right in God's eyes and trying to live a righteous life is hard. It's hard, and every single day we are challenged, and it's a battle. And to try and go through that battle by yourself is rough. Listen, I have my days, okay, where I don't even want to pray for myself. But I have people in my life who pray for me when I don't feel like praying for myself, who encourage me when I don't feel like encouraging myself. And it's by having these people in my life, some days when it's hard to move and get up, these are the people that pick me up. And I am able to reciprocate the same thing when they're having their weekdays. I've seen Dynasty hilarious. Let me see. Hyson, okay. Guys, like and share, spread the word to all your friends. I know it's 11:50, but ain't nobody sleeping on a Friday night. Feel free to call in, like, share, and don't be afraid to, like I said, call in and share your views. What's up, bro?
All right, bro. I just wanted to add something real quick, man, because like you touched up on something about battling, how we're fighting, and it's really important that we understand as young people and as Christians that the constant battle that we're having is not against one another. It's not against flesh. Yeah. It's against like an entity. Like the devil is smart, and I feel like that's a topic you would have to touch base on, because as Christian, when we talk about the devil, we saw something ugly and bad and scary. Right. And when in reality, the devil will use something like so beautiful to trick your mind. Right. And that's one thing that I realized that he's doing. That this world is like, we've seen so many things that are wrong that we accept as right. That now doing the right thing, we can't even do that anymore. Mm-hmm. Like saying, like if you turn on your TV right now, you'll see people half naked, and then that thing, honestly, it's registering your mind, and then you're okay with it. Right. And as Christian, you shouldn't be okay with that. And like I was commenting with someone else, and I was saying that you need to be careful of what you're doing. If you're doing something and God is not taking pleasure in it, best believe the devil is. Mm-hmm. That's how it works. Like there's no if and but about it. That's all I wanted to add, man. Thanks for the job you guys are doing, man. Like I appreciate
praise God. All right, there's another text I also wanted to bring up to you guys too. It's 2 Timothy 2 verse 22. And it says, run from anything that gives you the evil thoughts that young men often have. But stay close to anything that makes you want to do right, have faith and love, and enjoy the companionship of those who love the Lord and have pure hearts. I'll read the same exact thing, but this time it's the ESV version. Or maybe I should read KJV. Yeah, everybody likes KJV. Hans has a question. Talk to me, bro. Dynasty is being silly. The KJV version says in verse 22, flee also youthful lusts, but follow righteousness, faith, charity, peace with them that call on the Lord out of a pure heart. I know there's a lot of people out there quiet that, look, you're struggling and it's rough. It's hard. You know what I mean? You could be in a relationship with a person that, you know, he's always encouraging you to engage in a lifestyle that you know God doesn't approve of. You could have friends that are always encouraging you to engage in a lifestyle that you don't approve of, and you don't know what to do. And I'm gonna tell you, it's hard, but sometimes you gotta let people go, because you have to ask yourself, what are you pursuing? Are you pursuing the lifestyle that God wants for you? Or are you pursuing the lifestyle that man wants for you? And I'm gonna tell you something else. You know what I mean? There is a stress that comes with engaging in that kind of lifestyle. When you live in the direction that God wants you to live, as far as, you know, saving yourself for marriage, but and even not entertaining gossip and not entertaining, you know, a lot of the vices of this world, there's a peace that comes with that. You know what I mean? Allowing yourself to go to sleep at night not thinking to yourself, man, is she pregnant or is she not pregnant? Like, it's a good thing to go to sleep knowing you don't have a kid out there, you know, out of wedlock. And now I'm not judging anybody that's happened to, but for some people, it's like you avoid so many issues that you don't have to deal with. When you're not having sex, why would you be worried about catching an STD? There's certain problems you just, you know, avoid. All right. Un says, can our field of study or job lead us to impure thoughts? That's a very valid question. For me personally, I would say, of course, because, I mean, it all depends on your job, right? Okay, let's see. For example, can I decide to be a fitness model? Let me put it to you this way. It begins with what is the intention of your job. Because if you say that you're a fitness model, if the intention of, exactly, Hanif nailed it. If the intention of your job, for example, is to promote health and health wellness, people will react to that whatever way they want. I can look at a picture of a man or even a woman in great shape and be inspired and be like, wow, I really want to work out. I want to get it together. Another guy can look at that same exact picture and that could be motivation for his lustful thoughts. Wow, we could use musicians. Musicians, okay, we'll talk on the personal aspect of a musician. Or we could say, okay, as a musician, I play for God's glory. Right? There's some who play for God's glory. There's some who play for their own selfish, desires. But then there's people in the congregation who, when they look at me play, they're like, "Oh, you know, praise God, he's doing God work. I'm edified. I'm blessed by it." But then there's other people who look at it, who look at the musician lustfully, like, "Oh man, he's so hot when he plays, or she's so hot when she sings. I want her. I want a piece of that because of what she does." When you say, "Am I causing someone to fall?" No, I don't think so at all. Because and I was just addressing this with men, how, you know, when men in the church are always saying, "Oh, women need to dress better and women need to, you know, be mindful of what they wear." Well, men need to be mindful of the way they think. If men were more mindful of the way they think, we wouldn't be that worried about how women is dressed. Because if you're so focused on how women is dressed, it's like you're paying attention to the wrong things. I once heard this story in an email that I'll share with you guys. A woman went up to a pastor and she said, "You know what? I can't be in this church anymore. I'm leaving this church. There's so many issues. I'm out. I don't want to be a part of it." And the pastor said, "Okay, I understand you want to leave, but before you leave, I want you to take a cup of water and fill it up with water. I want you to take a cup, fill it up with water, and I want you to go to church and make sure the entire day that not a drop of water spills out of the cup." So now she comes back to the pastor the next day and she's like, "Okay, I did it. You know, I don't understand. What was the purpose of that?" He said, "When you were holding the water, did you see what the musician was wearing? No. When you were in the church, did you see what the ladies with the big hats were saying? No, I didn't see that. Did you see how the ushers were acting? No. Were you concerned about the pastor's wife? No, I was just making sure that the water didn't come out the cup." And that's exactly the point. If you go to church and your sole focus is on making sure you're getting a word from God and connecting with God, if that's your sole purpose, you won't be worried about other people and what they're doing. It doesn't mean you're blind, you won't see something, but you won't, it's not going to be a factor for you. It's not going to be what you're focused on. If you go to church and you for some reason just cannot get over the fact that such and such's boobs are just out while she's singing for praise team, you have to ask yourself, why am I more focused on her boobs than her ministry? And not to say that she doesn't have any level of accountability. Of course, she has to do her part too. But then you have to ask yourself, okay, I've seen it. Why am I still focused on it? Why am I still dwelling on it? Why has that dominated my mind for the entire service? The pastor spoke for an hour and a half. She wasn't even up on stage anymore. She was up on stage for 15 minutes. The pastor was up for an hour, but I'm still thinking about what happened for that 15 minutes. Then you have to ask yourself, okay, why am I more concerned about something that happened for 15 minutes that I missed a word that lasted for an hour? And so many times we as Christians, we're quick to blame people and say that other people are the reasons for our fall when, yo, you have to take accountability for yourself. People don't make you fall. The devil can't make you sin. The devil can give you opportunities. He can leave apples for you to bite on. But no one forces you to bite on. It's just a choice. And once you understand it's a choice, you continue to not make that choice. And guess what? You see that young lady, you automatically avert your attention, you avert your eyes, and you focus on what you need to be focused on. And then maybe God puts on your spirit to, go to the young lady, and with love and graciousness, you say, listen, I wasn't really focused on it, but, kind of crossed my mind for a second. And I just want to tell you, when you're up there, try and just be a little bit mindful of how you may come across to the congregation as you dress. You know what I mean? And then that's it. But if when you see somebody dressed a certain way, you Snapchat it, you taking a picture of it, you sharing with all your friends, you laughing and joking about it, you talking about it, it happened on Saturday, you still talking about it on Wednesday. Who is really the problem here? The person who wore the dress or the person who saw her wearing the dress? Anyone can control the way they dress, but unfortunately no one can really control their thoughts. That is facts. Well, when we say no one can control your thoughts, you can control the thoughts that you entertain. For example, sometimes we want to smack somebody, but we don't act on that. Sometimes we have certain thoughts that are not as pleasant. And when that happens, in that aspect now, it's a matter of rebuking that thought and focusing on the things that are pure. For example, if you're feeling sad, and to counteract that, you think about the happier things in your life. You think about the things that make you laugh, the thing that makes you happy. You focus on the things that are pure, that are good. If you dwell on the things that are dark, that's what will occupy your mind. So even I'm a human being. I have gone to church and seen, not even just church, just even in school. You know what I mean? You walk around and you see phenomenally amazing women. I will walk past females that are gorgeous. And when I walk past them, my flesh wants to turn around and look at them from the behind. It happens. I want to do that. And I'm like, yo, check it out. But I've trained myself, maybe, earlier back in the day, I might have taken a look. But over time, when you realize that, look, this is not the lifestyle I want to maintain. This is not the person I want to be. You start saying, look, God don't even want me to look back. That's compromising my purity. So you teach yourself, look, I see her. I keep my eyes pretty face. Keep it moving. Stay focused on my goal. Because I got this water in my hand I don't need to spill. So I need to be worried about the sizes of a woman. And sometimes, and one thing I've told young men too, is while you're single, be faithful to your spouse, even if you're not with them. Because if you can be faithful to someone you're not even with, you're training yourself so that when you actually are with that person, it's easier. And if you're allowed to like big butts because you're married. Well, Snapchat is the new way of sharing information. Unfortunately, it is. Yep. Guys, call me. I know a lot of people got some thoughts, questions, stuff like that. Hit me up. I know today everybody I know the subject is a little touchy and everybody's kind of being safe. Everybody's commenting from the safety of their own home. They have their opinions and stuff like that, which is cool. I know this is kind of one of those things where you don't want to put yourself out there. I get it. But, yeah, single men get that word. No, it's facts, and it's a great training. And even for women, you should train yourself to be faithful to someone, even if you don't know who that person is or where that person is at, because you're training yourself to abstain from certain activities and certain things that you don't need to be a part of. And by training yourself, even when you're not with the person, you start to realize, okay, I'm not fornicating, or I'm not looking at such and such, or I'm not doing something because of my faithfulness to God. Right? So when you get married, you don't commit adultery not because you love your wife, but you don't commit adultery because you love God. It all goes back to intentions. That girl with her boobs all out might not even know better, and her intentions are not for her to tempt you. So now you become accountable for the thoughts you entertain. Very true. Now, if the scenario changes where she knows better and purposely trying to cause her brother to sin, now you're both being held accountable. Right. Obel is basically saying that, with the person who dresses inappropriately, maybe they don't know. But now if you're made aware of it and you continue to persist in the behavior, now that's an issue. And the Bible says that too. That when you don't know something and you're ignorant to something, it's not accounted to you as sin. But now when you're doing something and you are called out, but you continue to persist, the Bible actually said we're supposed to call you out. Let's see. Not just faithful, but each time you sleep with someone before marriage, you also stole a piece of that person from her or his spouse. Very true. You might not be able to control completely what comes into your mind, but you can kind of control what forms of print, social media. You can control what you meditate on. You can control how much time you spend thinking about a particular thing. Beautiful point. Mirta is basically, reiterating a point that's extremely important. Your thoughts, like the Bible says, out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. So the things that you continue to fill yourself with, the things that you watch, the things that you talk about, the things that you entertain with your friends, these are what manifests as thoughts in your mind. Like for example, when you like a guy, you talk about that guy all the time to your friends, and you think about the guy all the time. That's what happens. So by doing that, you are entertaining the thought, and it becomes manifesting what you're doing, and it comes out of your mouth because you speak it out into existence, right? Out of the power of life and death, life in the tongue. So in that same aspect, when you want to now start to align your mind to have more of a mind of Christ, the direction of Christ, you need to start filling up yourself with things that are pure. Like for example, me, when I made a concentrated decision that, okay, I want to have more of a pure mind and walk better with Christ, I made it a point that every single day I would read a text that was talking about purity, that was talking about, not thinking of debased thoughts, walking in righteousness. And that helped my mind, okay? It helped my mind to focus on things that were more pure so that, now when I'm watching a commercial, when I'm watching TV and there's a commercial with girls in a bikini, I'm like turning my head away and I'm not looking at it. Whereas maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I saw them and I didn't see anything wrong with it. As you continue to fill yourself up with the mind and the spirit of Christ, you will find yourself repulsed with things that once you thought were okay, now you think it's completely disgusting. And that's the goal. That's the goal of purity. All right, anybody got anything? Let me see. Comments are a little thing today. I hope, we all getting something out of this. You know what I mean? It's a very taboo topic that is talked about in a very lighthearted way. And I feel like we always simplify this, just down to don't sleep with somebody, be faithful to your spouse. But it's so much deeper than that, because there are so many rewards when you as a Christian make it your point to walk right and righteous in God's eyes. You know what I mean? There's so many benefits as far as peace of mind and just also the blessings that God can bring for you, because sometimes we have people in our lives that we're entertaining, okay, that we keep around, and because of that, God can't bring the right people in our lives because we have the wrong people taking their place. Okay? There's so many people on so many levels, you know what I mean, who are just struggling, okay? And it is taboo because impurity boils down to sexual immorality and fornicating. Right, exactly. That was the same point I was about to make. It's taboo because impurity boils down to sexual immorality and fornicating. But the problem is that because we have made impurity as simple as sexual immorality and fornicating, that's why we're still struggling with it and it cannot be solved. That's why even today so many youth are still suffering with addictions and so many issues, because we've simplified it to being immoral, fornicating. So because we said, look, you having sex, don't have sex, we can't understand why we can't stop it, because sexual immorality and fornicating is not the beginning. That's the end result. By the time you get up to the sexual immorality and the fornicating aspect of it, you already too far. The beginning goes way back when it's really explaining to people and helping them understand, look, you cannot, you know what I mean? Or not necessarily to cannot, but it's not beneficial to be entertaining thoughts of lust, to be entertaining themes of lust. Like, sometimes you have to really ask yourself, the TV shows that you're watching, are these things promoting themes and lifestyles that I want to exhibit in my own life? Yes, we enjoy it as entertainment, but the things that we allow to feed our minds, they manifest whether we want them to or not. So you have to ask yourself, the things that I'm listening to, the things that I'm watching, are these things that I want to manifest in my life? If I don't want these things to manifest in my life, why am I entertaining it? All right, we got a caller. Yay, someone's not scared. Let's see, we're inviting Judith. How you doing?
I'm great. Actually, this is a great topic tonight.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I would love for you guys to really start this program after Sabbath, like, before Sabbath, or 8 o'clock would have been great because some of us have to wake up early in the morning to attend church,
Got you.
right? As you see, it's 12 o'clock, but it's so interesting, so I really want to stay.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that I truly wanted to point out, because I grew up in the Haitian culture, as we know, like
Mm-hmm.
certain things are taboo. Taboo, it was not discussed at the table. And the minute you tell your kids, no, you cannot do this, your
Mm-hmm.
parents never gives you as to why we cannot do it.
Right.
Now you become curious as to why you cannot do it, and you go out there and do it anyway,
Yep.
because the fact is, no one would tell you. They tell you simply do not have sex. But they don't explain to the kids what else can happen.
Right.
Pregnancy is the least of your worries nowadays that we grew up. Even at work, when we at work, it's really like somebody did mention work-wise. Because this week I was at work, actually, when the nurses tell me, did you see this great-looking guy passing by? I said, I really didn't see him.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, are you blind? I said, well, that was not part of, that's not what I was looking for. I was busy dealing with a patient. That's not what I'm here to look for, guys that are cute. Who cares?
Right. Right.
So, it's a mind over matters.
Right.
You got to have self-control. I'm not going to say none of us are perfect.
Mm-hmm.
Back in the days, probably I would have flogged, because I'm not, you always say we're not blind. But when you're trying to find God on a daily basis, it's a struggle.
Right.
None of us are perfect. And especially raising kids, I realize all the mistakes that my parents made. And now I try not to make the same mistake, because my son is 22 and my daughter's 15.
Mm-hmm.
In our church, actually, 2 years ago, the pastor's wife actually had just a AY. Actually, it was a lockout for all the young girls, just on that topic.
Yeah.
Okay, which I find it was so important when my daughter got back home, because sometimes, even though you as a parent, you explain to them what's going on, but coming from somebody else, it has more value and more important. And some of us as parents refuse to go review our past with our children.
Right.
And so this is where I've been. I don't want you to go that route.
Right.
Because it's so dangerous now. Okay? Because this is what we go through on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
And I try, especially when my son was going to college, I'm like, this is what you're going to face. There's alcohol, there's drugs, there's everything. Even though as a Seventh-day Adventist, he grew up in church, but we know it's a challenge out there for them.
Yeah.
And the church actually, by itself, is not a matter that as a Haitian church we cannot address those issues. We have a lot of professionals. It is basically because it's a matter of culture.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's why we don't come forward to discuss this topic.
Right.
It's not because we do have a lot of professionals. And yes, we need to pray. At the same time, too, we need to seek also other professionals to come to our church and discuss this topic with our young people.
Yeah.
Because coming from us, at times they will listen, at times they will listen to a complete stranger also.
Yeah. Yeah.
So actually, we had some excellent print tonight. I come on every Friday night. This is
Right.
where, and I truly enjoy it. I'm in New York. Actually, I did visit your church. I see you praying, Pastor Leon, Florida. I visited. So we're in New York. So we truly, actually, like I said, I was bugging my son tonight. I'm like, "Are you watching? Are you on tonight?" Because we really, because it's a very good topic. And one thing I can tell every young people that's watching, even though you have been sexually active, you still have a chance to redeem yourself.
Yeah.
And says, God, I know I have been, but I want to change.
Right.
Okay, I want to change my way, the way I used to do things. I'm no longer that person anymore.
Right.
I will not be sleeping around with anyone. I will not hang out with the people that I hang out with. Okay?
Right.
And sometimes we do wear stuff. It doesn't matter what we wear. Some people are just psycho. They are crazy. We have crazy people in church too. You walked in church, you dressed up, you could have cover up from head to toe. And somebody will find something to say to you. It's just to disrupt your day. Or either when people are sick and twisted, like I told Juliet, I could have been covered with a sheet. Just my eyes is out, and people will still find me attractive. Because that's what's in this person's mind. You cannot control someone's mind, what goes into the mind. And we, as professionals, we study people psychologically with all those issues. And we need to really actually having more AY to educate our young people. This is what needs to be done.
Right.
When we have all those revival,
Right.
we touch every subject, but we feel like our young people have been neglected in our church because we more focus on the tithe and offering. This is as a must. You know, we are focused so much on the sermon, how long the sermon is going to be, when at the same time, when I go to church, my favorite part is praise and worship, you know?
Yeah.
Because I know where I have been, what God has done for me.
Yeah.
And after I hear, because my musician is really top notch, because when you have your musician in your church, like we were discussing about a couple of weeks ago, no matter what, we are gonna come to church and having those musicians minister to us, because it's a ministry.
Right.
It's not just simply, we just have to be on our knees and pray on a daily basis. And truly, it's a blessing. And also, having this program really keep us on our feet, not to be watching any kind of show, because we can come out and speak. And I'm talking for all the parents that probably doesn't want to talk. So even though I look young to you, but I'm young at heart. 22-year-old and 15-year-old. I talk to them about all those issues that my parents did not discuss with me.
Right.
Because when you grew up here, it's a different concept. It's not the same thing as in Haiti. Oh, don't do this. Why?
Yeah.
You have to show them pictures, show them proof. Google, YouTube, you know. And when we have our young people that are pregnant in church also, let's not make it a subject of gossip, because that can happen to your daughter too. So, as Haitian says, le we bab poison prend du feu. So, veille que pas. Okay, parce que dit bête qui gen pas jamais di feu. That's your Haitian proverbs. So, le nou gen ti moun. So, nou pa komanse bagay. Sou pa kontan pou moun fè parler mal de petit tout, ou pas capable de parler mal de l'autre ti moun. Si que vous venez d'église, ou une jeune fille mal habillée, ou bien un jeune garçon mal habillé, relez au sous-côté, parlez avec eux.
Yeah.
Because that's the way you can build their self-esteem. But by embarrassing them in front of everybody, it is not going to work. We need to educate ourselves. The more we do that, and we can become better Christians and better culture, and we all educate one another. Okay, that's all I have to
Thank you
say.
so
You
much for
guys
your
have a
words.
great night.
Appreciate it.
Okay,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
All right.
Good night, Mark.
Good night.
Okay.
Anybody else that wants to call in, please feel free. You're more than
Okay.
welcome to. Oops. Up. Anybody else that wants to call in, please feel free. You're more than welcome to. If you have a word or something that you want to add. I just, I know this is definitely something that, it's one of those things where people kind of want to deal with it on a personal level, and I just want to stress to you guys that, uh, I'll give it a shot. Okay. And if about to jump in. All right, I'll say my words after Nif talk. Nif always got something good for us. My man.
Oh, hey, what's up, man?
What's going on, bro? Talk to us.
Yo, my bad about the rag and everything like that. I'm
We
actually
good,
getting ready
man.
to
We,
bed.
we, we don't judge over here. We don't judge over here.
All right, no doubt. So honestly, all I really wanted to say was just about the whole sexual purity thing and things like that, and why be pure sexually and stuff. The honest truth that what I want to tell people is that sex is just better when you're married, like by a lot. I'm married and I have sex a whole lot. And the way that the media and everything makes it seem like it's like, oh, all the single people are out there having sex and stuff like that and enjoying themselves, and all the married people are miserable and stuff. No, in real life, it's not like that. All the married people are really, really enjoying it. And what you want to do is that you want to keep that experience in your mind so much that you don't want to advocate that experience.
Right.
Because when you have it beforehand and stuff like that, what happens is that now anxiety becomes a part of the thing. Whereas in marriage, there is no anxiety.
Right,
Where
right, right.
in marriage there is a lot of communication. In marriage, you can actually teach one another. It's okay if everything's not okay at first and
Right,
stuff.
right.
But the real truth about it is like if you do it before marriage and you're like, was I good? Was I not good? Then you bring all this anxiety, and that's where premature ejaculation comes from, and erectile dysfunction, all these other type of things that you will carry into marriage.
Right.
So you're gonna screw up your whole marriage and stuff like that. Whereas you're looking forward to that commitment with somebody where there's literally no shame whatsoever. Like literally, there is no shame whatsoever, and that experience is worth saying. You know what? I'm not gonna give that up for. I'm not gonna give that great experience out there up for this cheap version of that experience right now. And honestly, whatever happens on TV, it's really all made up. It's really whatever the writers made up in this story. Whatever happens is in the writer's imagination. Is not based on any type of real facts. Like, honestly, marriage is where it's at. For real. Yeah, my bad. I know you're not married, so all right, no doubt, man. Because I know, like, you probably think, like, man, I can't say nothing because, I don't know what he's talking about. But trust me, you'll get there. I got you, bro. I mean, a little bit. You kind of cutting in and out, bro.
How about now? Can you guys hear me? Can't hear ourselves. Hanif, can you talk? Because I think they can hear you.
Oh, okay. I guess so.
Are we good? We straight? Wait, I'm getting some
We good.
yes. Okay, bet. Yeah, so what I was basically saying is that, society does everything in its power to downplay the beauty and joy of marriage, because it's like, oh, marriage is whack, it's stale. It's like, nah, I'm not even married, and I see how when you have a great and beautiful God-fearing marriage, how it builds you up and how it makes you better. And I'm not even married, but I just see that by observing good marriages. And I mean, I've understood that. Look, some of us, we've grown up and we've seen the worst examples of marriage. But just because you've seen bad examples of something does not mean that thing itself is horrible. You know what I mean? You just seen bad instances of it. But there are amazing instances of beautiful marriages. And if you allow God to just kind of guide your path and you put yourself in a situation where you're in a God-blessed marriage, promise you will change your life, man. And I'm not even married. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, like my wife and I, we did have our first kiss on our wedding day and stuff like that. So, this type of stuff works. And the reason why we did that too is because like I felt like I couldn't get to know her for real and get to know her for who she really was when we're sitting there mashing faces all the time. Like you can't use your mouth to communicate and talk with each other if you're sitting there kissing all the time. So,
right.
we kind of...
I kind of want you to just share, if you don't mind, just share a little bit of the challenges of being a young man with a young lady and choosing not to kiss the entire time you got recorded and waiting up until a marriage. Like, what was that like? How was, the times where you were weak and you struggled? How were you able to do that?
Well, honestly, it just kept in my mind that, I want this better experience out there, that I'm not going to compromise that way better experience for right now. So just keeping that in mind all the time, that there's something better on the way. Like, we hear about that thing where, do you want $1,000 right now, or do you want a penny squared every day for the next year? And those are your two options. You can have a penny squared every day for the next year, and at the end of that, you have like millions and millions of dollars. Or you can take the $1,000 right now and go do whatever you want. The thing about it is, like, I looked at that and you calculate the cost. Like, yo, listen, I would wait the year with a penny squared every single day, because I want that experience, and that's gonna be worth way more than the $1,000 right now. Even though I can really use $1,000 right now. So if any of y'all got $1,000, please send it my way. But I'm just saying, like, keeping that focus of that better experience to come makes it so be like, you know what? I don't need the experience right now.
Right. So you kept yourself focused on something to come.
Yeah, definitely. We kept ourselves focused on something to come. And right now, right before we got married, we just try to make sure that we were building each other up and like trying to find out more and more about each other. And, every relationship, it's in levels. You first get to know the person on a friend level, then you get to know the person more, and then you get married and get to know the person on the physical level. And when you get to know the person on the physical level, if everything else is there, the physical stuff is way, way better. But if all the other stuff isn't there, then, the physical stuff could suck. And at the same time, like, I know you're saying, like, how do you do it as a young man? Like, I mean, yeah, it's a struggle and stuff like that, because when you're around our age and stuff like that, you're also fighting your biology. Like, we went through puberty. Come on, like, this is something that's natural. But the thing about it is, like, we're not just animals and stuff like that. That's not all that's in us. We can control ourselves. We do have developed frontal lobes and things like that.
Facts.
So we have to use our developed frontal lobes, which is a pretty significant portion of our brain, in order to control the lower parts of our brain, which is not as significant, but, pretty, firing all the time.
Yeah.
Nah, we didn't really hug that much, by the way. I saw someone here. Nah, we didn't really hug that much, honestly.
Hey, wonderful.
Oh, yeah, and Juliet says, she's a witness, maid of honor, fist up and everything like that. Yo, on the real, like, anybody at my wedding will be like, yo, they felt that kiss. Like, when we first kissed for the first time, like, yo, that was for real.
Ah, man. You work hard for the goal and you finally hit it.
Yeah, definitely.
Dope. Wonderful words, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, definitely, man. You're a blessing.
All right. So, what I mean? And here you go, guys, a personal testimony of a personal friend of mine who, when you strive, it's not easy. It's not. But when you make the commitment that, all right, you know what, Lord, I'm going to try and do it your way. Or not even try, I'm going to do it your way. I'm going to deny myself of the passions that, I struggle with. Not only are you setting yourself up for a better experience, but you're learning lessons that make it easier for you to maintain the type of relationship that you want to maintain. I've said it again and I'm going to stress it again. It's extremely important especially for young men, to train yourself to be able to deny yourself of every urge and lust and desire that you have. Because not every urge and desire that you have is good, nor is it godly, and we are of the flesh. And if you as a man can't say, all right, you know what, I know I'm feeling this right now, but I can't give in to that. If you can't set yourself up for that while you're single, it doesn't get easier when you're in a relationship. And it's just, this concept of purity is like, we've been talking about this for almost 2 hours and a half, but honestly, there's just so many facets to it. You could just pick one and ride that out. You know what I mean? There's just so many facets to it. But, I just kind of want to take this second to just reach out to anybody else, and if anybody wants to call, feel free. But, we'll probably wrap up a little bit soon. And I just kind of want to take the moment to tell people, look, you know what I mean? For everybody who's watching, first of all, achieving purity or striving for purity is not an impossible thing. It can be possible to not be sleeping with anyone for years. It can be possible to be, celibate and not be sleeping with anyone, not be entertaining anyone. It's hard. It's difficult, but it gets easier. It's like a muscle. The more you train yourself to live in a certain lifestyle, the more you practice it, it gets better, and you learn better skills. Okay. All the transit new generation will be so crazy. Also, you know what I mean? Being with one person is fine. Like, there's nothing whack about you only slept with one person your entire life. That's an accomplishment. Don't allow the world to make you feel like, oh, because you've only been with one person, that's lame or that's whack, or because you didn't have sex before marriage, you're missing out. You're not. Because trust me, if it was all that it was hyped up to be, if having sex before marriage was this amazing thing that everybody was enjoying so much, why are they sleeping with so many people? If when you slept with that one person it was so amazing, you would have just kept sleeping with that one person, and that one person would be it. But you keep going through partner. Why? Because you're looking for something. You're not satisfied. And that's the problem whenever you start looking for, whenever you start to feed your flesh, okay? You're trying to satisfy something. And you go into different vices, whether it be drugs or people or sex or whatever it is, alcohol, and you're trying to satisfy your urges, your lust, and you feel like by me engaging in these things I'll be all right, because it's impossible for me to not do it. Like, there's no way I can not engage in this activity. But then you realize it's like the more you do it, it gets old and you get tired of it, and then you feel like you're tired and used up and you don't have the energy, and it just gets old fast. Like, I'm 27 now. I've talked to so many of my older peers and people who I know who used to club a whole lot, and now they're like, yo, I'm not even trying to go out anymore. It's whack. It's not fun anymore. And everybody has their own different experience. I'm not trying to say this is the norm for everyone, but my point to you guys is that don't let the world convince you that being pure is whack. It's not cool. Just because you decide to save yourself for one person, just because you choose not to sleep with everyone who's around, you know what I mean? God honors that. God honors sacrifice. And when God sees that, look, you know what I mean, you could have done this, you could have done that, but you know what I mean, chose to save yourself for me being Christ. Okay? And because you saved yourself for me, I can bless you even further. You know what I mean? There's honor in that. Kissing someone is enough to get your emotions all wrapped up. Imagine what sex can do. It's almost like you're leaving a part of yourself with a person. That is very factual. When you're connecting with people in intimate levels, it's deep. It's not just an action. You know what I mean? It's like you're on so many deep levels is connections that shouldn't be made if it's not the right time or the right person or the right place or the right context. I can, urge every single person, like, please, you can go in a path where it's like, look, I'm going to go off and do my own thing. And, all these church people just saying what they're saying. They don't know what it is. No, you can have a little fun and whatever. It's not what it's, don't believe the hype. Don't believe the hype. I remember when I was younger, everybody used to make, having sex before marriage seem like this was this most amazing thing and it was this greatest thing in the world. And Don't fall for the hype. Don't fall for the hype. Trust me. I'm not even married, don't even have a girlfriend yet, but I see the beauty in having a God ordained marriage. Is nothing like it. I've seen people light up when they talk about their spouses in that type of context. It's just a beautiful thing. And compromise that for what? Someone who's just gonna walk into your room one night and walk out? For unnecessary. Hans, you speak on these things, or are you the person who pushed for these three straits? Extremist, old school Christian, holier than now. It doesn't take all that. Hanif says, so many people build their ego with their lack of ability to keep a person. I said, oh, that's very true. Too many people bragging that they can run through many people, but how is that a goal? How is that something to? How is that something to be proud of? That you can't keep one person? That you can't stay with one person for the rest of your life? To me, it's harder to be with one person for the rest of your life than it is to be with 1,000. 1,000, you just jump in the jump, and when everything's go bad, you hail shit. But to stick with one person, deal with the storms and the struggles, there's a blessing in that, guys. And I just want to, take a second to reach out to everybody who's watching right now. If there's something in your life that you're struggling with, and since the topic is purity, then if there's something in your life that you're struggling with when it comes to purity, whether it be sexual immorality, whether it be fornication, whether it be alcohol, with any behavior in your life that you feel is something that you've been pursuing as a lifestyle, that you feel is something that God's not smiling upon, it's not too late to stop. And it's hard. It's going to be hard and it's going to be difficult, but it's not too late to stop, and it's not impossible to stop. And it starts with prayer, but that's not where it ends. It begins with prayer, but then you have to go off and do the hard work and the dirty work. And sometimes the dirty work is breaking up with someone that you've been with for years because you want to move in a direction that Christ is holding on for your life, and that person doesn't. And you have to ask yourself, okay, who am I going to be loyal to, Christ or to this person? Who's going to define purity for me? Am I going to define it and say purity is going to be whatever I want it to be, or am I going to go with God's definition and I'm going to follow God wherever God leads me? And sometimes that requires you to leave the person that you're with. Sometimes that requires you to lose friends. But I'm telling you, it's worth it, and it pays off. Is it tough? Yes, it's tough. Is it difficult? Yes, it's difficult. There's going to be some nights where you're lonely and you didn't want to be lonely, but it's worth it. And I encourage anybody out there, even for people on the line right now, look, who struggle with pornography, okay? And I know that's something that a lot of young men, even females, deal with, okay? Even though you've been dealing with it and you've been battling it, it doesn't have to determine who you are. And it doesn't have to be the end. It doesn't have to be something that you've done and then you can do for the rest of your life. You can stop. You can grow out of it. You not even just grow out of it. You can be better. It doesn't have to be something that dominates the rest of your life. Yes, it starts with prayer, but then it starts with you getting rid of the computer, or you blocking websites, or you finding someone to hold you accountable, or you blocking the amount of time that you spend on the computer. Do whatever it takes in order to pursue purity for Christ, because I'm telling you, even something as pornography, studies have shown and science has shown that ruins intimate relationships for people. Like when you get married and all that nonsense and content that you just proliferated in your mind, that ruins your marriage. You don't want to have these things in your life. And if you've been doing it for 10, 15 years of your life, look, work on stopping today. Work today on stopping. Start today. It doesn't mean you're going to be perfect. It doesn't mean that 2 weeks from now, you know what I mean? You might mess up. In 2 weeks, you might mess up 7 times. But at least you're working on getting better. And that's what I want everybody to reach out here. You know what I mean? Whatever it is that you feel, look, God is guiding me and speaking to me to remove this from my life. And it's been a struggle and I feel like I can't win. Look, start with prayer. You start with the prayer, but then you follow it up with actions. You make the necessary things that you have to do to remove yourself from that behavior. Let me kind of go through some comments real quick. Females tend to associate sex with love, and when some guys say it, they call it a booty call. True. Maybe not for everybody, but true. The new trend. How do you know that one person you've been with is the right match? Juliet, what are we doing with the upcoming generation? School and media cause them to want to fit in and go against their values. Very true. And that's why we, as the church, we as people who've been experienced and going through certain things, have to do our best to educate our youth. Hanif says, I know she's the right one because I chose her. She's who I committed to. Amen to that. Hun said, I get it, bro. I married mine. But how do we convey that to the mindset of the upcoming generation? I'll kind of answer that as best as I can. To the upcoming generation, you have to promote to them values. You know, values such as not abstinence, which is just withholding, but celibacy, which is I'm saving myself for marriage out of my loyalty or my commitment to God. So because of my love for God and my commitment to God, that's why I choose not to have sex, as opposed to I'm just gonna not have sex and that's it. There's a difference. When you're doing something that has a deeper meaning, you're more committed to it. And it's just keeping it real. Gotta keep it real with the kids. Gotta talk to them and tell them what's up and tell them your experiences. Listen, if you was out there years ago, you know, fornicating and smashing and doing all kinds of crazy things and you learned from it, okay, educate the kids and tell them, look, I've been there. I've done it. And what people try and hype it up to be, it's not what it is. And now I'm better and this is my experience now. And trust me, don't make the mistakes I made. And that's the thing that I think we as Christians have to be more transparent about. We always telling people, don't make mistakes. But maybe we should change that statement into, don't make the mistakes I've made. Because that statement alone already shows humility, saying that, look, I'm not perfect and I made these mistakes. Don't repeat what I've done. Because I suffered. I struggled. Don't struggle the way I've struggled. Mara says, purity of being pure is asking myself at any time, at any place, in any situation, what would Jesus do? Am I doing this for God's glory? As 1 Corinthians 10 verse 31 said, it is not only a fornication or masturbation or pornography issue, because you can be married, a pastor, first elder, whoever, and still be impure. Because purity is a lifestyle, is an everyday decision to be faithful and respectful to God's law, ourselves, and our community. Beautiful. Hanif said, I think they get it. I try to be open about these things, to try to show younger people than me that I'm super sexually satisfied. That usually grabs some attention. I have everything they're chasing, and I did it by marrying one woman. Amen. Manuel says, it's easy to see godly traits both in men and women. It may take time, but you can always perceive what kind of person you're dating within 6 months to a year. Cool, cool. Guys, it's been beautiful. You know what I mean? You know, doesn't have to be me, someone you trust, you know, anybody out there who's struggling with a vice or struggling with something like that, you know what I mean? That doesn't have to be the rest of your life. You know, you can turn things around, you can change it. Who defines purity for us? You know, if you're the person that's defining purity for you, well, human beings are inconsistent because what is good one day is bad another. And if that's what you're cool with, you know what, who am I to judge? But understand that, you know, every decision comes with its consequences. And if you allow church to define what purity is for you, well, you're not getting the full picture. Because church has its own, you know, it has its own system and politics within it. And appearance is not purity. Appearance is just external. And that's something Christ definitely talked about. But when you go by God's definition requires you to be selfless, to take up your cross daily and die, to let go of the things that are leading you in a direction that's not Christ's direction for your life. So for me, who defines purity for me? That would be God. Because God's definition is constant, it's consistent, and it yields fruit. So it's been definitely a blessing talking with all of you guys. Yeah, we're gonna do this again next Friday. You know, if you guys have any topics that you also like to talk to us, feel free to always suggest. Oh, you know, this is something I would like to hear, discuss, or talk about. Feel free to share with your friends. Feel free to, you know, always participate. And look, man, you know, don't let the conversation just end here. You know what I mean? When you go in your own church family or among your own friends, like, you know, bring it up. Talk with people. Discuss it with them. You know, bring up these same topics because there's people not on this line who want to talk about these topics, who are dying to talk about these topics, who need to talk about these topics, but they don't have nobody to talk to. So, you know what I mean? Take, you know, what we discussed and everything that you learned and share it. That's the point. You know, we share it so that we can better edify each other and build up the body. Build up the body of the kingdom because that's what the goal is, you know, that we all be better. Fridays at 9:45. We would love to do it earlier, but some people are doing choirs and rehearsing, and it's rough. But you know, when something is good, you'll come and you'll sit, and that's just kind of how it's always been. Thank God for that. But we start at 9:45. It's 12:45, so that's 3 hours. We struggling to sit in 45-minute sermons, but you know, we stay for this because it's the content that's it's relevant. So that being said, you know, like I said. You know, for anybody struggling with something, please don't try to go through it alone. Find someone you trust, you know what I mean, and confide in them, and just try to do something different tomorrow. You know, do something different tomorrow, and then do something different over that, and just go day by day. And when you slip and fall, it's all right. You'll slip and fall, and then you will rebound. You'll pick up, and you'll go again. Pursue perfection. Pursue purity. All right. Doesn't mean you're gonna be perfect, but as long as you continue to pursue it, you have a goal. And as long as you continue to try and adjust and adapt to that goal every single day, you will get closer and closer. Trust me. Trust me. I've been there. I've made my own mistakes, and what God has done in my life now, I wouldn't even recognize myself 5 years ago. So if I could do it, you could definitely do it. That being said, we're going to end with a word of prayer. I guess if you guys have requests, you can type them out real quick. I don't know if I'll see them because my eyes will be closed. But, all right. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this wonderful moment of fellowship to be able to just come together and talk about, you know, things that would just be edifying and for your kingdom. Father God, I ask that right now, everyone who's being moved by your spirit and that can hear the sound of my voice just be touched by your angels that excel in light and strength. That you may just place a blessing upon their heart and whatever they're dealing with, Lord, whatever they're struggling with, that you may just give them the strength to overcome and to be better, Lord. And let them understand, yes, it starts with prayer, but faith without works is dead. So whatever they need to do, whoever they need to cut off, whatever friends they need to replace, whatever shows they need to stop watching, whatever music they need to stop entertaining, Lord, whatever it is in their life that needs to go, make it very clear to them and give them the strength, the courage, and the obedience to hear your voice and just listen and let whatever needs to go, go. I thank you for this wonderful day, this wonderful night. Bless us, guys, and keep us. And just let this talk not end here, but continue to go on in our minds and hearts and be edifying to everyone who hears us. In the name of Jesus, I pray that will be done. Amen. Peace out, peeps.